Hello there. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm well.
How are you doing today?
I'm melting
Why?
because it's fucking
melting.
hot.
It is, in fact. I think today is supposed to be one of the days where it's 100. We're supposed to have two
Right.
100-degree days
That sounds like fun.
this week. This is riveting. Welcome to the VidGames Podcast.
Is it really that hot? It's not even hot in here.
It-
I don't even have a fan on. It's not even hot.
It is quite true.
It feels very humid right
Vic's-
now. I hate it.
Shiny, sort of.
I'm getting there.
He's getting there. Welcome to the VidGames Podcast. We're doing a really fun one today. In the midst of all the heat, because we're about to go into summer, and it's always the shittiest time of the year.
It truly is, though.
I hate it. Summer used to be so fun. Remember, we used to get inflatable pools, go swimming, slip in slides.
Those
And-
were really good old days.
And now summer sucks.
I think summer can still be fun. You just have to make it fun.
The problem with that is I have no life. So I don't
Right.
I d-
Therein lies the problem.
I don't get many opportunities to be able to just stand outside and wet myself with the hose. Those days are long past, long behind us. We used to have a public pool. I don't know if we do anymore. I went there once. I think I pissed in there, and then we never went there again. Or somebody did. I forgot. Maybe it wasn't me.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun. Today we're talking about Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Speaking of scary things you never want to see or hear about again. Resident Evil. Obviously, yeah, this just had to, of course, come to be at some point because of our recent hyperfixation on the franchise. But I did have some guidance getting into it, in part by Little Fox over here. How did you get into the series?
Okay, so this is where it starts. This is where it starts to get a little weird because I feel like I am not one to talk when it comes to most of Resident Evil, because you actually, when you got into the series, you started playing all the games. I only played the ones that I liked. So I first saw Resident Evil at someone's house when I was a kid. It was the first game, and I don't know, it just kind of stuck with me. And then years later, when the remake came out for GameCube, I was interested in getting it, and I think at the same time, I don't know, this was around high school or something. I guess I was looking up Resident Evil stuff for whatever reason, and I happened upon some characters from the other games I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Which is how I discovered Leon.
Mr. Man.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's hot. And basically, that's how I found out that RE4 existed. And
Nice.
so I went to GameStop and I got the RE1 remake for GameCube as well as RE4. And then I just played RE4 nonstop. And that became my favorite one of the series. As well as one of my favorite games of all time. It's so much fun. I even did a video for its 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that game so much.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, let's get this part of the way, because for me and Vic, it's fairly simple. I'm pretty sure it's well documented that I had known of a few of the characters and stuff here and there, and some of the memes. I already did a quick reviews over on Destination Mark for Resident Evil 2 remake. I explained a little bit of this kind of origin story there as well. But yeah, so I knew some of the characters. I just didn't know to what lengths, their stories went and how everything flowed, like narrative wise and everything. And funny enough, so we're here on VidGames. Did I ever mention this before? Like actually publicly, I think I did. We had a friend. There was the high school, the main high school that Chase and Wes and I all went to, but we met Jerry on another campus for Chase in my senior year, and then like Wes was in his junior year. So on that campus, it was the multimedia school that we went to. That's where Bunny Boy came about, if you've ever seen West Side Studios, stuff like that. So that campus, that's where we met Jerry, and that's excuse me, where we met our friend Christine. And she's never been in anything that we've done, but we were really good friends with her, and so she was going to actually be on the channel for a while there. We had planned, we had 5 or 6 or so members planned, like, out the gate, because it was me, Wes...
You were gonna have a girl on your channel?
we were. It was me, Wes, Chase, Jerry... Yeah, before Vic, Christine was going to be the 5th VidGames member. I was either on VidGames... Sorry, no. Well, yes, we were thinking about that. She was going to be on Trash Talk. That's what it was, on West Side Studios. And I had asked her, we're doing a review show, blah, 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 what do you want to start with? And she said Resident Evil. So that would have been my first time if she didn't duck out last second. And then we just never managed to pick up a schedule to be able to, or have a plan to have her on. And then we graduated, so we kind of drifted after that. So it just never materialized, and so I could have played it as early as 2013, but it never came to be. So for another 12 years, technically 11 years, I hadn't touched the franchise. And so then when we were trying to figure out what to do for VidGoals of last year, the year before, was it? No, I think it was 2 years or so before that. We played Resident Evil 4 finally, because that was the one that you wanted us to play. We knew it was your favorite. When it comes to your 12 Days of Fave games from way back in the day, I edited all of those for you, and that's when I saw a lot of RE4 during that time. But I didn't understand a lot of it. And so, with all that in mind, I'd gotten little bits here and there, as these last couple years have gone by. But it wasn't until we finally got around to getting the PS2 version of RE4 that we played on VidGoals. That's when we finally started to play a Resident Evil game for the first time. And then after that, I was like, yeah, let's try chronologically. This is what we did with Doom or whatever, or yeah, I think so. Where we played the original and then we went. It's kind of actually a backwards thing, but anyway. We played the original Doom, and then we played 2016. But then, with Resident Evil, we played RE4 as a one-off. It was planned to be a series back then, but it never materialized until now, where we still have to get back to it. And then we try to go back chronologically, sort of, and we did a one-off the next year on the original Resident Evil 1. And then, after that, we ended up playing Village. I was again let's just skip to a modern one, and there was a VidGames a VidGoals one-off, and then there was a stream, a 3-hour or so Halloween stream on Destination Mark that year, because you were helping me out with that one. And it was still the OG, so that's as much experience so far as I've had with the OG Resident Evil 1. And that's what I was going to say, too. When we get into all the games and stuff, what we're going to be covering in this episode are going to be the main 8 numbered... there's technically 9, I'll get to that in a minute. 8 numbered title, 1 through Village. 1 through 4 are going to be the remakes, but for 4... Why is my throat so... Oh, God, fucking weird.
Get some water.
I've got some water, but for some reason, there's phlegm. Anyway, sorry. Jesus Christ. We're going to go through 1 through 8, 1 through Village. For the remakes, though, we're going 1 through 4 remake, But for 4, we're gonna flip between the original, talking about the original and talking about the remake, because we don't have any more experience with the original first game, and I have not yet still played the original 2 and 3, so we're not gonna talk about those. We're also going to mention very briefly the Revelations games, because Vic and I have both beaten the first one, and we're on the second one currently. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of experience with Zero. I do own Zero. I've only played about an hour or 2 of it, so I don't have a whole lot of experience in that one. And I have Code Veronica, but I haven't touched that one either. So that's going to be the order. So yeah, that's really where the origin story kind of comes from with us, though. Like, we've seen bits here and there, but because it was horror, we never really like got into it because of that.
I was gonna say, I remember seeing the Resident Evil games around, but I never knew what they were about because they were in like the horror genre.
Yeah.
So that wasn't until like later. I think if it wasn't for us doing like the one-off and stuff, I think I would have eventually gotten to Resident Evil, but the fact we got into it when we did, it's interesting. It's an interesting series, especially with how the games were developed and stuff like that.
The flow of the franchise, like the directions it took, it's really interesting. But yeah, like after that, playing a little bit of RE4, playing a little bit of the original RE1, and then we went and played Village. We just decided to hunt for the latest one, and then we did that. And then after that kind of helped hook us a little bit more, we went back and started going from 1 remake, and then 2 remake, 3 remake, and then just kind of from there like that. And so at this point, this is kind of an update if anyone is watching the RE4 playthrough at the moment. We'll also say, once we do our next session, we'll say it there too. But I think when we last left off, we were still doing the numbered games. So we're done with those now. Like, we've beaten 1 remake, 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake. We're still on the original on VidGames. We've beaten 5, 6, 7, and Village. And then we've also beaten Revelations 1, and we're on Revelations 2. But we have not touched... I only touched a little tiny bit of Zero, not enough to really talk about it at length, and then we haven't touched Code Veronica. So that's kind of how... It's a little unfortunate. I do want to... I would like to have been able to talk about Code Veronica specifically, because it's a pretty big key game in terms of Wesker stuff, but we haven't played it yet. So at the time of this podcast, so we won't be able to talk about it here. But the main stuff, I mean, that's where we should start. So, was there anything else? That was your origin story. There's nothing else to add for your origins.
Pretty much. I mean, like, yeah, I got into RE4 in high school. I mean, because, like, I'd like to say, this is when I got into Resident Evil. I got into RE4. That's about it.
I mean, that's fine too as well. I mean, for again the things that I know you search for in games, in games, you found it with the OG4, and so we'll get to 4 when we get there. But like, there's plenty to say about both the original and the remake. That because of how. It's so weird to describe. How 1 through 3 feel a little bit more, for lack of a better word, linear, and then 4 is a little more open. It started the more kind of open exploration. It's not open-ended or open world, but it's a little more open to be able to just. It's not as claustrophobic unless you're like in the castle and stuff. But that's a whole other. Again, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Because you like a lot more open, explorative type games, like Spyro or Ratchet or something, and so 4 kind of gave you that, and then gave you a bunch of like characters and voices to attach to, which are some of the biggest things that I think you try to look for.
But ironically, 4 is a lot more linear than the others.
I mean, would you say so?
Yes, I would. A lot of it is running from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of your like moment-to-moment exploration, you have wider areas to run around in versus 1, 2, and 3, if that makes any sense. 1 and 7 are like the most claustrophobic ones, But like,
I mean, I guess in terms of like areas that you go through, but they're broken up into smaller like segments.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It felt more open to me. I think because also the game is a little longer than an average Resident Evil. Like, it's got chapters. It was the first one to introduce chapters, and only the middle era games really have chapters. I mean, I don't know if Village. I can't remember if Village does, but no, I don't think it does.
No.
But 4 was the first one to introduce that, so I guess just in my head, because of how each chapter begins and ends, and because there's constant backtracking to areas you've already been through, which is the norm for Resident Evil, but sometimes there's weather conditions that change, and the time of day changes, and so it feels like it's a new area. It just feels bigger to me, which isn't bad at all. That's good, and it made it feel like it was more rich and there was more things to do. But again, let's start from the beginning. And get into Resident Evil 1 Remake, which I really like, and in fact, I think it's up there in like my top 3 or 4 or whatever, if I had to like rank the games. Because I get it. At first, getting into the original game with its tank controls and everything, which, I mean, obviously the remake has as well, but for its time, they try to modernize it a little bit, and it feels really good. So, I mean, maybe I'll be able to just get used to it if I played the OG again, but in terms of the remake, the first Resident Evil game, it's a lot of fun. That's definitely, I see where the grab is. And it's funny because Vic and I keep, and I even said this before we even started getting into the franchise, but like, Luigi's Mansion just feels like a kid-friendly Resident Evil. So it's not like the concept is even that foreign to us about,
Yeah, it's baby's first Resident Evil.
Yeah, checking rooms and exploring a giant-ass creepy mansion. I mean, that's just Luigi's Mansion. So that was our kind of introduction to that type of gameplay on GameCube from back in the day. But what do you all think of it?
I like Remake. Originally, I got it on GameCube, and I played some of it, and I liked it, but I couldn't really get into it. Obviously, I was playing 4 a lot more. And I guess mostly because I was like really worried about, I don't like the save system. I really hate the encrypted saving system, and so I got when like just knowing that like really gave me anxiety about like not being able to save the game like whenever I wanted, and so I kind of stopped playing it because of that. And then I didn't beat the game until like, was it like last year or something? I don't remember. But I got the like the PS4 version, like the remaster, and I eventually beat it. Although I had to look up a guide though.
Yeah, the remaster of the remake. That's it at its most. The game at its most like clear and its most like. I think that's its like best form, if that makes sense. Like play it on PS4 or PS5. What'd you think about it, Vic?
I thought it would have been hard to get into because of the tank controls, but because of how much they changed it or they made it like smoother, it wasn't really that bothersome to me. Like, I got used to it almost immediately, and once I really started to get the hang of how everything worked, it was really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought it would, for its time, I think it was really good because I think it oh God, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts right now.
In the heat.
As a remake, it's fun. I don't know how much about the original because my experience with the original was our one-off.
That one-off.
And I never touched it again. But I think maybe if I revisited it, I could probably do it. I know it's different. I know that some of the puzzles and stuff are different from the original and the remake, but I didn't have too many problems with with remake.
I think it's interesting that for its time, coming around the middle-ish 2000s, that remakes of that kind, and especially how remakes in general have kind of the way the RE remakes now are handled, they do have a lot more fun with poking fun at the original with certain things, certain puzzles, certain whatever's, moments or lines of dialogue.
The master of unlocking.
The funny thing, yeah. So funny you mentioned that because the RE1 remake tried to take itself a little more seriously, and it rewrote a lot of. Because our friend Fez, he's just made a guest appearance on the channel as well. I'm trying to play it with him now because he wants to get into the series, and so he wants to do it chronologically, but he doesn't want to deal with the tank controls of the original, and so we played a few hours like a week or so ago, and I think it's funny because there are he knew some of those meme lines, and the fact that some of them were rewritten. He was like, well, that sucks.
What was the line that they got rid of? The Jill Sandwich line?
They got rid of the Jill Sandwich, sort of.
They rewrote the Jill Sandwich line.
Oh, yeah.
They got rid of the Master of Unlocking.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah, they got rid of that entirely.
Yeah, I skipped that cutscene.
Sandwich.
When I played, I skipped that cutscene because I was like, well, that sucks.
Well, because Fez did this weird workaround when he was exploring to where he ended up getting the broken shotgun before going to that room. And I told him, I was like, okay, you have a choice here. Do you want to hear how they handled that line, the Jill Sandwich line? Because you can skip it if you swap the shotguns out, and you never trigger that cutscene. However, it's still kind of funny, I guess. I don't know, but it's different. He's like, no, I'm fine with not hearing how they changed it. But they do poke fun at some of the puzzles, how you're saying, like, not just for the lines of dialogue and other things that they changed, but in terms of the actual gameplay itself, while it is largely the same, and a lot of the beats are largely the same between the OG and, I haven't seen all of the OG, but I did play up to I think we beat Yawn in that stream? I can't remember. But, that was the first fight, I should say. But, I found out there are certain puzzles and things that they change. Some of them are very deliberate. Like if you try to do doing the diamonds inside the tiger eye thing, it's supposed to be blue and red, I think, in the original. And if you put the red one in along with the blue in the remake, it'll like penalize you.
That's weird.
Because it's just the muscle memory of like, well, that's how it goes in the original. Because it's the blue and yellow one you have to put in the remake. So it's little things like that. And of course, there's, the infamous, if you walk down that one hall, the windows will crack, but they won't break. The dogs won't jump through. But if you go through backwards, they do.
Oh, yeah, when I played...
To avert your expectations. When I told you that, you made it a thing.
I made it my mission to go to make sure the dogs never spawned, and they never did.
He never triggered the dogs because he kept going.
Wow.
He kept going in the normal way. Whenever he had to go through and do all that, it was really funny.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny how you say that too, Aaron, because I forget if I'm pretty sure OG2 and maybe even OG3 still retain the ink ribbons, but as far as after OG4 and all that, and then when they started doing the remix of 2, 3, and 4, that shit was gone, like real fucking quick.
That's why I played the RE2 remake, and I liked that one. And
so yeah, that's definitely. I mean, you definitely felt what they wanted you to feel. They wanted you to be like, oh, I only have so many odd number of saves whenever I pick up a pack of ink ribbons, and so the only thing is what's actually really funny that I found out later is if you play on like hard mode or whatever on RE2 remake specifically, they do bring back ink ribbons, but only on the harder difficulties. So I mean that was at least a pretty okay touch. But yeah, they eliminated that shit like real quick.
I didn't really find the ink ribbon system that bothersome to me.
I'm
not sure that's because we were on easy mode, but
we were playing on easy.
Playing on easy. I was playing on easy, and I was looking up a guide because I just had that much anxiety about not being able to save.
And I think I should say that to you off the bat. Anyone listening, that's valid. A lot of people play on standard, which is fine. I tried it for RE4 remake, and it was a little difficult for me, but I was still just trying to get into it.
Fuck the difficulties on RE4 remake. They make no sense. We'll get to that, but they make no sense.
Well, because I also tried doing RE2. Once I beat the very, very first blind Leon playthrough I did of RE2 remake, I did it on easy, and then I tried to do Claire's B playthrough on normal, and like the most common of stupid little fucking zombies fucked me up, and I'm like, are you serious? So I pushed it out and went back to easy. But when you're like us and you're not really in, like a horror gamer, and you're trying to figure all this shit out for the first time, I mean, I think it's valid to have it on easy, because the puzzle, it doesn't make the puzzles any easier. It doesn't make, I've watched plenty of other streamers and other people play the games on YouTube on like fucking hard or standard or whatever, or professional or whatever. And
it's like enemies kill you faster. Congratulations. That's like, why would I want that though? Why would I want that?
They're slightly faster. In RE2, Mr. X is faster. I know that. But yeah, basically it just comes to damage output and input and everything. And they take less damage, you take more damage. It takes more shots to kill a fucking zombie.
Waste more of your ammo.
Exactly. Ammo is scarce. Like scarcer. Like the harder you go, it's really hard to find ammo. Placements of stuff.
It puts you in a
different.
real zombie apocalypse.
Really makes you feel like you're in a survival horror game.
If I wanted that, I wouldn't be playing a video game.
I'd go outside in 2020. So be that as it may, about the easy stuff. Playing RE1 remake for the first time blind, it was a lot of fun because it was cool trying to figure out, like, you would think it'd be kind of annoying to be like, oh, I need this key and there's like 5 different doors, I need this one specific key, but and the map doesn't like show you which doors you tried that need that specific key. You have to either remember or you have to just go around and check doors.
I remember when I played
a sword key.
I've been held on to the sword key for like the longest time, and I was like,
forgot to go back into the fucking into the little
into basement.
The lab. No. You couldn't find. No, it's the little basement like kitchen. Bit at the very bottom.
It was that area.
He forgot to go back there and check that door. He checked it once.
I did
before he got the sword key. Forgot that door existed.
I totally forgot.
And like 2/3 in, he finally used it.
Because I was like, where the hell else have I not gone? And then I remembered, and I was like, oh, I don't think I did it in this area. And I went and I used it. And I was like, you fucking kidding me?
But no, the claustrophobicness of it is interesting. Like, it's not exactly the zombies that made it scary. It was the fact that it's zombies in this giant place where you have no idea what is where, and so it's just and how labyrinthian it is. So just trying to figure everything out. Yeah. I can use big words sometimes. Trying to figure out just what goes where, and I don't think we really used a whole lot of. I wanted to make it a thing, of course, throughout all these games. For each individual game, to be like, all right, I'm gonna try and not look up a bunch of stuff because I want to see if I can actually figure it out. And I was expecting some puzzles to be harder than they actually were, and some are, because I'm thinking like other games outside of the other games outside of RE1. There are some that like are memory, like memorization and whatever, but other than like that, I have to agree with K-Chris when he was doing the Gaming of the Clinton Years thing, and they did the bizarre choice to pit Mario 64 against Resident Evil, and they said that the puzzles were hard, and Kay's like, no. I'm like, yeah, no, I can actually agree with that. They're not actually really that hard.
Yeah, once you know what to do,
once you figure it out. Because again, even between the OG and the because we were trying to figure out the ones from the OG from what little we played, and then going into remake, I'm like, oh, it's this room. Oh, they changed this room, and then trying to figure out, oh, the puzzle's different, and then trying to figure. Case in point, the fucking old to young.
Oh yeah,
portraits,
the
and the fact that they're just color coded jewelry things in the remake. I'm like, oh, same premise, completely different. Like
completely different solution.
Yeah.
But admittedly, it's a lot more easier to figure it out, because then once you know what to look at, it's like, okay, I have to look at this.
I mean, it
and
was
you
cool.
just had to figure it out from there. I know you love that one room, the statue room.
Oh, that's the... Okay, fuck. Fuck that room.
I know that room has, like, 500 camera angles, but, like...
Yeah, no, so speaking of, just...
Oh my god, I know what room you're talking about. I know exactly which... Is it the one where you fucking go down... Like, if you go down the middle, you're fucked or something?
Yeah, so...
No.
Okay, no, I got it, I got this.
Yeah,
Because I'm going to lead into it. So, with how we were talking about the controls and everything, it didn't really, have to haggle too much with the remakes, tank controls. And really, the camera angles, too... What's the fucking... Because I'm baking as well, I can't
Fixed
remember.
camera angle.
Fixed, thank you. The fixed camera angles weren't really, like, getting to me either until that fucking room. That was the only instance I'm like, oh my god, the camera is actively working against me. Because it's a room where it's somewhat kind of top-down, almost isometric-like, and you have to, like, push this statue into a little slot to be symmetrical to the other statue on the other side of it, because you're opening up this door in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But then it's like a fucking Scooby-Doo trap where, like, the walls are going to close in. You have to go...
The walls are going to close. And if you go in the middle, I remember trying to do that, because if you try to push the statue in the middle, and then you're just like, oh, you're fucked. And then you try to push it out, you'll get crushed. So, like...
Something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah, you get caught in there if you do it wrong. I remember trying to do that. I don't like that room. Because
you have to, like, go and, like, hit the button behind the wall. Because the two walls are already, like, jutted out. When you hit the button, they go in, and then they come back out.
Yeah, they go back towards the middle.
Into the middle. And so...
Because it's supposed to prevent you from pushing the statue to the sides, which is what...
Well, if you try to walk in there before you put the statue in... The statue is meant to also be this kind of blockade, because you can't walk in there at all. The first time it's, like, I think motion censored, or, like, when you step on the floor, that activates it. So it can crush you. It can, like, come together like two hands, like, clap, and, like, it'll crush you. But if you have it to where the statue is already kind of, like, in... that spot, it won't crush the statue. It can. That's needed for the puzzle.
Yeah, it just stops.
It'll just stop where the statue is. So you've got a bit of wiggle room there. You have to run around and go hit the button on one of the walls where
it's
walls,
on the right side.
Yeah, and you have to, like, walk out, loop around, and try and get the statue pushed in the span of, like, I want to say 5 seconds, but there are like 7 fucking camera angle changes throughout that entire... It sucks.
I remember it made me so nervous because I was like, fuck it, stop moving the camera, and I can't tell where I am, and then I'm gonna get crushed.
Yeah, that room is not fun. That was the only time I got frustrated, like, truly frustrated with RE1. Just that one room. I was like, fuck that room.
Yeah, I remember the camera angles kind of fucked me up in a few areas. Yeah, I think also that room too, but not, like, as much. But I think that's just because I helped you with that one.
Yeah. Well, because I couldn't really... I thought you had to push the statue into the slot. You had to push it onto the square, where then the game takes over, and then it'll automatically push the statue into the slot. I was like, are you serious?
Because you
have to beat the wall before it, like, covers up that spot.
Yeah, before it pushes the statue back in the middle.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, a depth perception thing, because you kept pushing it a certain distance.
There was. You're right.
And you thought that you thought it was on it, but it was like an inch off.
I needed to push it like one more time.
Yeah, just like a bit more, and then it like locked in
every
place.
time. I had to push it one more time, and I didn't realize it. I thought it was on the thing. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So annoying. But that was the only real instance where I got like that for me. Everything else, all the other puzzles I was able to figure out. Everything else was pretty much good to go. I did like how they added a bunch of stuff that is completely unique to that game, like Lisa Trevor and her whole story.
The Trevor family.
Because they later canonized that out of the remake's continuity into the main stuff, because fucking Revelations mentions Trevor, Village mentions Trevor,
7 mentions Trevor.
7 mentions Trevor, so... Because George Trevor, they ended up... Well, I actually found out that they wanted to include some of that storyline into the original, but they didn't have the time for it, or, like, the space for it to actually, like... I don't know if Lisa Trevor herself was going to be a character in the OG, but the Trevor storyline was supposed to be there, and they cut it. So for the remake, George Trevor is revealed to be the architect who made the mansion, who built the mansion, and they fucked him over, and then they experimented on his wife and kid, who was Lisa Trevor, and the wife died, and it's a whole sad fucking tragic thing, but creepy. She's creepy as fuck, and it's the one mention retroactively of the G virus before 2, so I don't know. I think that was a choice for the remake to tie it into like after 1, 2 happens not long after.
Yeah, I think I'll say this here. I like that the remakes tie into the next game after.
Yeah, there was a lot more. Good.
No, I was gonna say like there's what I really like about remake is just I think the whole atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
the vibes are immaculate.
It's probably the best, like that to me. Like that is Resident Evil, like that, just the mansion and the way that it feels and everything. Just the stuff that they added to remake specifically, like the Crimson Heads. Those things are super scary.
Oh my god, they're more annoying than scary.
But like, they are fucking freaky.
I mean, they are annoying, yeah, and like that. Well, that's another thing. It's just like you, freaking having to burn the bodies before they resurrect as a Crimson Head, and you're just like you're trying to do it perfectly to where you can kill them, and 2 of them land on top of each other. So you're just like, oh, perfect! I can burn both of them at once. Like you have to do it perfectly every time, so you have to like waste your like fluid. Lighter fluid and
as far as I can remember,
that's a trophy as well. Getting to it once. You didn't do it very often, but then again, I think with how you were traversing everything, you didn't come across a whole bunch. Plus, whenever you did, you just killed them. Because the 2 ways to prevent a Crimson Head, a zombie becoming a Crimson Head, is you either burn the body.
Burn the body, or you blow its head off.
Headshot, yeah.
But I tend not to get headshots, so I usually just burn the body. I
also read as well that for some unfathomable reason, there is actually an unknown third option where you can just shoot them in the legs, and somehow the game tweaks out to where it also doesn't turn them. It's weird. That's what I read. I haven't actually tried it out. I haven't played 1 in a while. The only thing I need to do left in 1, I have left to do in 1, I never got around to doing Chris's playthrough. So I need to do that. Other than that, yep, nice contribution.
I never done that.
Yeah, so I've never played Chris's story. I know it's supposed to be a little tougher because his loadout is a little different. But aside from Zero, that's like the only real like in-game shit you're gonna get with Rebecca. So I kind of wanna. She's the only one of like this entire crew that I don't know that much about. Still to this day, like even fucking Barry's playable in Revelations 2. So thankfully, like I'm getting to have learn more about him, and then there's Moira, his daughter. So like that's fucking cool.
You still haven't played Zero yet.
I only played a little bit. I know she was the main character out of 2 because there's Billy Cohen.
Yeah.
That's all I know about Zero.
Huh?
I was just saying that's all I know about Zero. Other than that, I have no idea what Zero's even like.
Like I said,
I know you said that it's more like it plays more like one remake
because it's off the same engine, same physics, and same everything.
Yeah, but I mean, like in terms of like the story, I don't know. I don't know much about it.
It's weird. From what little I know about it, it's weird. But again, that's as much as we can say because I haven't beaten it. I haven't played that much of it. I want to get back to it, so I will eventually. But yeah, no, 1 is just a fucking vibe. I love the safe room theme.
Oh,
that's like what that so good. That one is my favorite one. I like 4s as well, both of them, but 1 just has a really like.
It's a nice ethereal sounding like.
It's half song. Reassuring, half like just haunting, and that's what RE1 is all about. Like sometimes you think you're safe, and then you're not, and then you think that dog can't jump the fence. It fucking does. So like, there's so much to it. And for the original being as revolutionary as it was, like it's so simple. But a lot of games start out that way. Crash 1 was simple, Spyro 1 was simple, Tekken 1 was simple, but they spawned incredible franchises. And this was the same. And they didn't even think it was going to be as big of a hit as it was because horror games of this kind of substance wasn't as wasn't very common, like, at all. It hadn't been done on that scope before. And it was what? Alone in the Dark, I think is what? Was it Alone in the Dark? No. What was it? Maybe it was Alone in the Dark. It was, the inspirations behind Resident Evil. I
think Alone in the Dark was one of them.
There was that. There were a couple other different like, games and stuff. There was
one was
they wanted to get the
Home Sweet Home or Sweet Home.
Sweet Home, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, and it's a bunch of different things, different games, and different facets of those games and stuff. Where we got the loading doors and we got the fixed camera angles. Those all came from different games that inspired them, which is awesome. Okay, so Jesus Christ, nearly an hour on the first game. That's a lot of fun. So let's just kind of get through this as quick as possible. I don't want this to be a 4-hour stream or a podcast. RE2 Remake is RE1 but more, which is good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
RE2 Remake is really good. I've only done Claire A. I haven't done anything else.
You've only ever played Claire A?
Yeah.
Oh, you need to do Leon A. That shit is so fun. That's how
I was trying to do Leon B. I started on Leon B, but then I got rid of the game so I could make room for other stuff.
I gotta say too that while I really really like RE1 Remake and it's up there in like my top 3, top 4, I think RE2 Remake is, at least right now, still probably number 1 in my top 3, top 4. Like RE2 Remake gave me what I was looking for, basically. Like, it's the same claustrophobic feeling, made much more modern because it's over the shoulder like RE4 and all that stuff. The atmosphere is fucking dense. I love it. I did my quick reviews on it. Basically, if you want my quick review, my quick thoughts and everything, please watch that if you haven't. It's so good. But just everything from Birkin to Mr. X to fucking Chief Irons, that bastard, which Vic doesn't know a whole lot about because he's only ever done a Leon A playthrough. He didn't do Claire, so he doesn't know about. He knows about Sherry and all them, of course, but he hasn't played her segment. Chief Irons is fucking creepy, and I hate him.
Yeah.
Isn't he like a fucking cannibal or some shit? Or he's a...
Yeah, and he talks, and he writes about, like, he writes about coming when he slits open a belly of an animal.
It's true.
Oh.
It's true.
It's really gross.
He gets off on, like, taxiderming shit. And like
he gets off on taxidermy. That's
tearing shit apart, like, bodies apart, basically. Like, he even does it to, like, a woman.
Writes about coming.
Fuck?
It's nasty. He's fucked up. But Marvin and everything. I've had this talk with you before, Vic. So I, of course, have to bring it up here. Maybe Aaron can help shed some light or like debunk the whole thing, because I even mentioned it. I'm trying to make sure I covered all bases in my quick reviews video on RE2 Remake, and I mentioned how I did Leon A, Claire B first, but everyone says pretty much unanimously that Claire A, Leon B is the canon order.
I was going to bring it up. I was going to be like, so why is that the canon order?
How is that the canon order if the knife Leon has at the start of 4 is the knife Marvin gave him?
I think it's something to do with, like, Sherry.
How?
I don't know. I looked it up once before, but I forgot what it was.
Okay. Because I was like, yeah, you don't get that knife with Leon in Leon B, because you never have the interaction with Marvin. He's already a zombie. I'm like, what the fuck?
Sherry's supposed to be a mutant, is she? Or she has, like, the virus in her? See, and I'm only remembering that because of 6.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. Well, okay, Birkin's whole fucking thing is something about, and this is where you have to, like, really pay attention to, like, the documents you pick up and shit, but, like, something about the G virus is that when someone who's, like, already a host for it and is already mutating, to ensure, I guess, the survival of, like, this whatever, you have to, like, quote-unquote impregnate other hosts with the virus. And they insinuate that's what happened to Sherry, because she does have a weird thing where, like, it wants to turn her, but at the very end, do you remember going into the lab, into the nest, as Leon? to do all that stuff. And that was to get the whatchamacallit. It was the what's the fucking word for the virus? The antidote. But what would the other word be called?
Oh,
for some reason, it's just leaving my brain. For lack of a better word, the antidote. For lack of the word I'm trying to think in my head. Anyway.
Like a serum or something?
Sort of. So that's what you do as Leon when you're in the nest. As Sherry, or rather as Claire, you have to help Sherry out. Because it's fucking her up. And that's why going into the lab, that's why she goes there.
Yeah, because that's when you're mixing the thingies, right? To get the right level of the stuff? Or is that a different thing?
That's more for the herbicide. That's the herbicide because for Plan 43?
Yeah.
That's to kill Plan 43.
Oh, okay.
But instead of the... I keep wanting to say toxin, or... It's not toxin or neurotoxin. No, I forget what it's... Instead of the antidote for Leon, Claire, she gets the... well, I guess an antidote for Cherry. It's really weird to explain. But, yeah. Anyway. Your thoughts, Eric?
In terms of story continuity, it's Claire A, Leon B, because something that only happens in Claire A is a plot point in RE6. If you plan on skipping blah 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 blah, okay. Before that game, I don't know. It says the official answer is Claire A, Leon B. It's something to do with RE6, so I'm guessing it's something to do with Sherry.
Yeah, because all I remember about 6...
I don't know. You guys played more of RE6. Like, you guys played all this stuff. We only did the one Leon and Helena like thing. So I don't.
Yeah, Vic and I beat the rest of them.
I don't know anything about RE6. So like, if you guys know that game, so I don't know why you don't know this.
Well, because it's never... Well, I wasn't thinking of 6. I was thinking of 4, because from Leon has that knife.
What I remember of 6, when you're doing the Jake's campaign, and Sherry's there, there's the scene where you're in the mountains, and, like, she has that thing stuck in her, one of the blades or whatever, and Jake pulls it out, but she heals herself.
I remember that.
And Jake's
but if you think about it, 4 is so weird, it could be a standalone game. It doesn't even have to connect to anything.
I mean, that's true. Again, Sherry's in 2 games. I don't know if they really... I can't speak to if they explain it well or not.
I think they tried to explain it in 6, because Sherry does have a moment with Jake where she is trying to explain
No, I remember
her
that
thing.
I just... Now that you say that, I remember that, but...
I just forget what she says exactly is the thing, though.
Again, we played all these games once. Let me... I mean, except for RE2 Remake, where I've played it like 5 times over, because I had to do... Well, I chose to do... That's why I'm telling you, I liked it that much. I did Leon A completely blind, went into Claire B completely blind, and then knowing the playthroughs back-to-back, I went back later and then played Claire A, Leon B, and then Vic played Leon A. And so I've seen the game so many times that I know it relatively... I'm not going to say perfectly or whatever, but relatively well. I know RE2 Remake pretty well. And it's a lot of fun. I really do like it.
It is a lot of fun, though. I do like it.
Because it was... I say it's, what I wanted, what I was looking for when getting into the series. It has the claustrophobicness of it, checking the rooms, and little jumps here and there. And it's not even anything that was meant to pop out and get you. It's just when a zombie is around the corner or you can hear it, and the growl happens pretty, like, immediately, or when they start rapping on the fucking window real loud, like, yeah, it goes to show, okay, there's still some dudes around, I didn't really kill them or deal with them yet, and also it provides a nice little scare for you.
Even going to having you, like, board up the windows just to keep them out for a bit longer and stuff like that.
And it was fucking not fun with Mr. X, because I definitely, as a newcomer, got the feeling that everyone else did. The minute he popped up, I'm like, fuck, he's gonna... It's terrifying. Yeah, he is gonna give it to you. Terrifying when you're like... Because you don't know which rooms he can go in and which ones he can't, other than safe rooms. Doing the whole gear stuff up in the claw tower to get the other power panel piece or whatever, alliteration. He can't go in there at all, but he can damn well follow you to that door.
I thought he couldn't go in the main room, and he can, and it's really scary.
That was one thing. I don't forgot how I found out about it from the original, but I knew. I'm like, in one of these games, there was a safe room, and something that chases you can go into one of the safe rooms. I know that for a fact. I remember that from a long time ago. Yeah, it was Mr. X in 2. He could follow you into the main room. I like his theme. His theme is different in the original, but it's very like techno-y, like weird, like thumping in the remake. But I like it. It's really fun. But yeah, no, those footsteps, Jesus Christ. And then of course there's the technical aspect from a game dev perspective of like how he works off screen. There's videos like that for like all the main chase you down type characters throughout the franchise, like Jack Baker or Lady D. So how they work off screen, and it's pretty cool. So once you think about it like that, he's not very scary anymore. It's just more of an inconvenience. It's like, okay, I'm not scared of you. I've had to deal with your ass 5 times already. Now I just gotta remember where you can and can't go. But yeah, I played 4th Survivor. I didn't beat 4th Survivor. That shit's hard. I'm not that advanced yet. But I haven't checked out all the modes, but playing the main stuff over and over again, it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, I would like to play. I like to play 1 and 2 again, because 1 was really fun, and 2 just feels like 1 but a bit more expanded upon.
The fact too that it took so long to come out, because there was supposed to be an RE2 remake. There were plans for them to do it like back in the day, like not very long after the first game's remake. So it might have been a lot more faithful to the source material in the sense how the OG 1, 2, and 3 are all fixed camera angles, all that stuff. But 2 and 3 remake are over the shoulder and they're more modern. And it took them
remake.
That's the one thing a lot of people do want. They want Capcom to remake the first game into the modern style, like 2 and 3 and 4 and all that. And that would be a lot of fun, actually. The closest thing we're ever going to get to anything remotely like that is Lost in Nightmares. And it's not even the actual mansion, it's just the Spencer estate.
Yeah.
But that was super cool. We'll get there when we get there, but yeah, that was really cool. On to 3 remake, which I know we have some thoughts. Vic has some thoughts.
That's all your thoughts. I've never played RE3 in any form. I played the demo of the remake, and then I watched you play the remake, but I myself have never really played RE3 in any form.
Okay. Vic, thoughts?
3 make is better than 6, but I don't think 3 makes really all that good. Like
3 make.
How can I say it? I think I felt like, even though I'm not like the hardcore fans like how most people are, I think I still
it's
felt
almost unanimous that people are like.
I still felt the remnants of like, or felt the feelings of like what everyone else thinks of 3 make, where like it just feels weird. It just feels weird in the sense where like the pacing of everything, or at least the pacing of the story, it felt weird and almost feels rushed. At least in some aspects. Like at some points, it's like, okay, you're here now, you're doing this, and it's kind of like, oh, okay.
The funny thing about that is because the original 3 wasn't supposed to be 3 at all. It was supposed to be a spinoff, but
that makes sense.
But they needed a numbered sequel, I think, for that year, and the team that was supposed to be working on RE3 was supposed to be on the PS2. And this was just a game called Resident Evil Nemesis, but then they slapped a 3 on it, and then the team that was supposed to work on the next gen RE3 became the team that worked on what is known as 4.
Yeah.
So how that affected 3 is that it had really cool concepts, and a lot of that stuff is still very memorable, and people still do love it for that. And it's more the OG because of what it had content-wise, what it held content-wise. But it was a different game, even before RE4 materialized into the version that we have, its final version that we have now, where it really went down and it started the action route. That technically started in 3, because 3 had a more emphasis. I forget if it actually had any, if it has any kind of dodging mechanic or any type of like to avoid zombies, but because how everything's now out in the city and we're watching the outbreak happen, and that makes a weird continuity error between 2 and 3, where 2, I'm not sure about the OGs, but as far as the remakes go, it's blaringly clear that there's a weird time discrepancy happening here, because 3,
yeah, I did find that weird too.
3 they made from a story standpoint, it's like a prequel sequel because it happens like either, I wouldn't say a day, I'd say mere moments before 2. But then in 3, we're seeing the outbreak happen and chaos, ensue, and we're actively in it. But then in 2, when Leon and Claire are running around outside and whatever, everything's like desolate, like it already happened.
Mm-hmm. And
that's not exactly, unless everything died down that fast. But then 2 ends with, if you're getting the main ending, 2 ends with them all walking off into the sunset, or sunrise, I guess. But then 3 ends with the town with the whole city getting nuked. So, again, time discrepancy. It's very weird. I don't really know how they are able to, like, what's the word, like
integrate everything.
Explain that away, I guess. But 3 remake just, it cut a lot out, and so because of that, it does feel like a very short game. It's definitely like, I'd say one of the shortest, up there with like Revelations 1, but Revelations 1 is still like a full ass game. And again, 3
Honestly,
remake cut a lot of stuff.
Revelations 1 felt longer to me than 3 remake.
I got through really fast. I think because even though I had a bunch of chapters, and they go into like the -1, -2, -3s, a lot of them go by super quick. They take, like 2 minutes, some of them, at minimum, to blaze through. So that game overall felt very quick. 3 remake felt very quick because that's just the length of the game. I think the longest segment is like the end when you have to like play as Carlos and you're like defending Jill and all that.
Yeah.
From there onward, it felt
the hospital and then going to the underground
to the lab.
Yeah, that felt long to me. I think that's like the longest.
The city bit was quite short, and I think it's because we didn't get the clock tower or anything like that.
The sewer felt.
The sewer was really fucking short. You're right. Seeing the hunters in different forms, there was like the gamma and like the betas or whatever. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah,
except the betas suck.
Really freaky.
They suck, the little ones. Because they still retain their 1-hit kill. It's like, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
So I think, okay, beyond the cut content, I think another reason why you didn't gel well with it, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, is that's when, again, because the OG3 was supposed to have a little more action to it. This is where, because we had so many games up to 3 remake where there's a lot of action, they tried once again to kind of inject that into this one. But a little bit more so, a little bit more modern, where like every other word is "come on, motherfucker" and "fuck you" and
motherfucker,
that kind of stuff. What was that? What was that note? The one about the mine rounds or whatever. Was it like, "listen up"?
Oh
douches,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that.
What was it?
I forgot how it started, but yeah, it was something like that.
Listen up, douches, or
it was very much. It was very much the vibe of "Alright, chodes."
Alright, chodes.
Like, it had that vibe to it, and it was very off-putting. Like,
there's plenty of... So, they try to give it more of a sarcastic, action, pat edge, where they would say their funny one-liners. Very much like an 80s action film.
Yeah. It felt like 1, but, like, cranked up to, like, 10.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, like... It got old. And, like, after a while, and it's like, alright.
The things I ended up finding out that people don't like about... The reason why people don't like 3 is a couple different things. Some of them small, some of them big. One of the biggest things is how Nemesis was handled.
Oh, Nemesis is fucking... He's a joke. He's a joke in 3 remake.
Because he was supposed to chase you around in random intervals, if I remember right, like the way Mr. X does, but they streamlined him to where he's got very scripted events. Where he goes and follows you around.
Yeah, there's a section I remember where like he's supposed to chase you with like a flamethrower or whatever, and you could just walk that. Or whatever. Or you could wait at the very end or whatever, and like he'll just walk very, very slowly.
Mind you, when he's just chasing you, like in the very beginning, he's trickier to avoid because he'll like jump in front of you, he'll cut you off. If you manage to catch him and he's leaving, he'll like Spider-Man thwip away. It's really funny. And the one thing which I think was sort of divisive among people was that he, in the remake specifically, when they were updating him, they gave him more of a parasitic type feel to his mutations. That was specifically put to more cleanly transition into 4, because 4 isn't about zombies, it's about Las Plagas. So parasitic stuff wasn't really a thing in the previous 3 games, but they try to bridge that with the way they redid Nemesis.
I honestly didn't mind the parasitic aspect of Nemesis for 3 minutes.
Because remember those guys, those zombies you had to kill?
Yeah, the ones that had the thing on their head.
Yeah, that was directly Las Plagas inspired.
Yeah. And I didn't necessarily mind that. I think it's just the way he was handled with how you deal with him.
Like gameplay-wise.
Where it's just like, where it's just kind of like, okay, well, you can just throw a grenade.
There's other little things, like, again, one of the smallest things that will get, like, big-time fans really pissed is bringing up what they did with one of Jill's lines when she says, "I'll give you stars." That's just, they treat it like a throwaway line, that like just another cheeky one-liner, when it was, like, the thing she said at the end when she, like, finally destroys Nemesis for good. So they just kind of threw that into one of the random encounters where you have to just run away from him. And it can get cut off if you're a little too late on running, and he just...
Wow, really? It can get cut off? That's awful.
Yeah, and he just bops into
you.
You
should never do that.
if he smacks into you, and you're not running right away, like after the cutscene starts, because she's trying to buy Carlos and them time, so she goes and does this whole deal where you have to run around and get him away from everyone else. And when that moment happens, she says the line, but if you don't really, like, start running, he'll slam right into you and he'll just cut you off.
I'll show you, stop.
Yeah. She'll go like, oh! So people didn't really, longtime fans didn't like that.
Yeah, actually, what's funny, I do remember, after we played, I saw, like, the comparisons between the two, and seeing what the original 3 was like, it's like, yeah, I think I would have had a much better time playing OG3 than 3, honestly, just because of how they...
There's a lot.
Because it looks very interesting, especially with the fact that 3 had a choice system. Yes. And it affected, like, I think it affected the end. It affected the ending. I know it affected the bosses. Nice. Like, I think it does fights with Nemesis. I remember that. And there's, like, some areas you go to, but...
But I like Carlos's new look. He's got sexy, shaggy hair.
Sure.
Can I be really, like, upfront?
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in, like, Carlos as a character.
As a character?
I don't know what it is. There's something about him that I just
like
didn't really get attached to him.
So the whole point of him from the original, because again, it's something they kind of changed, like interaction-wise, like dialogue-wise, was, if I remember this right, again, please someone correct me if any Resident Evil fans are listening to this, but like, in the OG, because the UBCS is still there, or UCBS? The Umbrella fucking... Yeah. He's part of Umbrella. Mm-hmm. It's the unit that goes out to clean up the messes.
Yeah.
To kind of, like, hush everything away.
Yeah. I remember that.
Like, he's not aware that all the shit started because of Umbrella. Because of the mansion incident.
Yeah, he was kind of, like, clueless about what Umbrella did.
Meanwhile... The mere mention of him, telling Jill that he's with anything to do remotely related to Umbrella, she gets pissed. But I guess, she forgives him right away, or rather, they learn to work together pretty quickly, and it takes, I think, her a little while longer in Remake to kind of come around.
Classic forgiving characters too early.
Something to that effect? I think she...
Looking at you, Rivet.
Yeah, like it's very weird. I don't know. The whole situation is just bizarre. He as a character is like kind of fun, but again, he's just one of many characters that never gets fucking mentioned ever again. So I mean, it's whatever. He has some funny moments. It was really cool because I wasn't expecting it.
Going back to the police.
The RPD, yeah, that was really sick. Because you do things.
That's a weird fucking door.
That was really funny.
That was pretty funny.
That was really
I will
funny.
admit, that was a funny line.
Looking at the fucking, like, spade door or whatever. No, but there's things you do, because, again, it takes place right before RE2, so going into, like, the locker room with the showers and then blowing that wall up, that's why the thing, that's why that's there. The fucking thing that got me is, well, first off, Brad's there for a while. We never got to see Brad, and at least from us being newcomers and playing the remakes, Brad was like just kind of, Jill had some conversations with him over the comms and stuff in 1.
Brad.
And then in 3, Brad's there and then fucking gets bitten, turns, he's the one that bites Marvin. I'm like, fuck. I'm playing 2 over here like, how the fuck did he get bit? Maybe just a random zombie. It was Brad. Brad.
It was Brad. No, don't go.
Oh, we forgot to mention Chris's Way.
Chris's Way. Oh my god.
When Fest was playing, I pointed it out. I was like, yes, Chris's Way.
Chris's Way. I love the way he says it. I don't know why he says it like that.
But yeah, I mean, that's 3 remake. I still like it. I also can't necessarily say it's a favorite, but I think it's an alright experience overall. If you can overlook the weirdness about it.
Yeah, I was saying,
or its attitude at times.
I do like that it still keeps.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I like that 3 remakes still keeps the formula of the remake of like 2 remakes, where like
yeah.
It still has that flow to it, so it's fine as a game, but as a Resident Evil game with its story and everything, like, it just kind of falls flat. Like, at least at certain points, and that's at least for me.
Because I know what they were, I think, going for, that the stakes needed to be bigger, so with all the chaos happening and then Nemesis showing up, like, it feels like it's bigger.
Yeah,
but
I can see what they were trying to do, but I don't know. I think they tried a bit too much. At least in some aspects.
With the short pace, with the pacing and with the shorter length of like where you're going and everything, staying in those spots, because again, it is still that 3 act structure of you're in the city, you're in the sewers for a bit, and then you check with Carlos, who's at the RPD, and then you go to the hospital, which leads into the lab. And they try to do the Birkin thing where you're fighting Nemesis and he's just mutating more and more and more. We should probably mention before we move on, what was his name? Fucking Nikolai?
He's forgettable. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. I know that he's voiced by Neil Newman, so, like, it's just Russian, Heisenberg. But Nikolai as a character, he's forgettable for me.
I think he had, again, also more substance in the OG, but they kind of... I wouldn't even say flanderize him, they just stripped him.
He's not as memorable because he doesn't say bitch.
He nobody shoots a dude point blank and he had nothing wrong with him. So
oh yeah,
fucked up. That's our introduction to him. So that was pretty sick.
That's perfect.
He wanted to gather combat data to sell it for the Muns because he's in it for the Muns. He says everything has a price tag, and that's Nikolai. I like how Vic forgot because we also watch live action movies. And in the second movie, they take a lot from 3, and it's funny how Nikolai's and Carlos to boot are just not like Carlos comes back in like the other movies. Nikolai just gets fucked so hard in that film. He dies like immediately. It's really funny. Not immediately, but like it doesn't take long before they just had nothing to do with him. They didn't have him do anything.
His whole thing in that movie was they were like, "I want these 2 to cage fight."
Yeah, that's 3.
That's pretty much 3. Like,
hey, Aaron,
like,
your time to shine.
Yeah.
RE4.
God, finally, let's
This
move
is
on
where the
to
fun
RE4.
begins.
What did you say?
I said, this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
All right, talk about your son, Aaron.
Okay, first of all, let me just talk about RE4 in general. Well, first watch my video, because I pretty much say everything that you need to know about that game and why it's so great, and,
Yes. I'm in it.
I don't know, everything about that game is just like, it's like a perfect game. And it's not at all, but, like, it's not at all, because, like, the whole last section is, like, the worst part in the world, but at the same time, it's still so much fun. It's got, like, you know, great atmosphere and characters and the voice acting, and the story is just, like, so over the top and nonsensical. It's, like, perfect for a Resident Evil game, but at the same time, like I said, it stands on its own. You don't even have to connect it to any of the other Resident Evil games. Like, it stands on its own. It's like a really great game.
Leon is so extra for absolutely no reason in that game.
For absolutely no reason. He's just like, he became like the coolest dude ever. He's, like, and he's so like stupid. He's so lame. But like, I love him.
Bro.
And
He says that. It was funny.
Like, it's all the cheesy one-liners and the, like, how did I describe it? It's got, like, the creepy elements of horror, the, like, over-the-top badassery of a spy flick, and the cheesy dialogue of a kung fu parody film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It fits together so well. And it used to be just about Leon. Oh, it used to be. And then, suddenly, it became about my son. Ramon Salazar, in the OG, it specifically, only in the OG, is my son. I love him so much. He is the greatest Resident Evil villain. I don't care what anyone says.
He's a little gremlin.
He is a little bean of a creature, as you said.
As I said in the playthrough, yeah.
He's adorable.
Oh, I forgot you said
I love
that.
him. And they did not do him justice in the remake at all.
Yeah, so this
agree.
is the one where we'll talk about both the OG and the remake. So, again, Vic and I have both beaten the remake. We're still in the process of playing through the OG, although I've seen Miharu play it a few times, so I know most of the beats of the OG. We've already made it nearly 2/3 of the way through in our playthrough. As far as the island and all that goes, I know some of how that goes, but not all of it, like every single moment-to-moment bit of how they do it in the OG, but I know a good chunk of the last, like, third. So, again, we'll get there once we continue playing and doing our playthrough. But as far as the remake goes, because that was the one that we both beat, you watched me beat it, Aaron, and then I got Vic into playing that one, and you said you really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like 4 Remake. I like them both.
You said it was like up there, though. You said it was like up there with like RE1 in terms of you liking it that much.
Yeah, because from what we've done of OG4, Remake 4 feels almost the same. Of course, there are differences and whatnot. And that's the thing, though, with like OG4 and Remake 4, is that I can't exactly like I can't say which version is my favorite. So like we have to finish OG4 for me to really say, but I can't pick between the two, because there are moments in OG4 that I do like, but there are also moments in Remake 4 that I also really like Luis's death. So, spoilers or whatever. Luis's death in OG4 kind of felt like a joke.
Funny.
It's fun.
like
it feels
nothing.
comedic.
It's legit emotional in the fucking remake. That's why I included it. So I edited that little bit at the beginning of Miharu's video. And like I said, too, in the video, in my submission, in one moment I said, yeah, you get the best of both worlds if you play the two back to back, or at some point in your life you play both of them, not even necessarily back to back, one right after the other, but like playing both will give you a very like complete whole, because you'll get the corniness and the cheesiness, but yet the coolness of how the OG asserts itself, and then with everything that they take a little more seriously in the remake, but the more modern control scheme and the additions like the pairing system and all that stuff, and how they refined Ashley, like so playing them both, you're gonna get like a lot of cool shit in both of them. And even right now, again, playing on is there difficulty in the OG? I can't remember, like setting.
Yeah, there is. There's normal and professional.
Oh, gotcha.
Unless you're playing like the Steam versions or like any of like the newer versions, I think, then there's an easy mode. But don't do easy mode. Don't ever do it, because they cut out sections.
Oh wow.
Like,
oh really?
They cut out like sections that are like deemed hard or something, and I don't remember exactly which ones. The only one that I know they cut out is the hedge maze. They cut out the entire thing, but that also means that they skip a cutscene with my son, and I don't like that.
Oh god, where was I gonna go with that? Yeah, cool. I seem to have completely lost my train of thought. Do you remember what I was saying?
Nope.
God damn it. Thanks for listening.
You were saying something about difficulty modes, and that's why...
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out where I was going with that. Oh, I guess... Oh, okay, no, because I was thinking of Ashley, yeah. So, like, because... despite there even just being like a normal mode, if you want the easiest mode on like those types of platforms, even playing on normal, Ashley's segments and having to deal with Ashley isn't fully from our experience and from my personal experience. I'll speak mainly for myself. In the OG, having to deal with Ashley hasn't so far been as like, annoying, or like, this fucking gut-wrenching experience where you have to like, oh god, I have to tend to her and what's going on with her, as people have been making it out to be. It's not always convenient, but they always try to make sure, from a game design perspective, they always do try to make sure that you're prepared for when an encounter's coming up, or where you could hide her, in the sense of like where you can keep her waiting, since there's a stop wait command, versus stay close to me or stay far from me, but she'll still constantly move with you in the remake. And 2, she'll straight stop in place or straight follow you. So hiding her having her stop and stay in a pretty secluded spot might help, or putting her in... I think even professional players will put her in a spot where the zombies will go to her, and then you can pick them off pretty easily. I'm sure that's a thing that they can take advantage of, like an exploit. But as far as our experience has been in the playthrough, like, she hasn't been that bad to manage in the OG. And again, with how they streamlined her in the remake, it hasn't been that much of a hassle. Not really, anyway.
It's not like too bad, but I still prefer like the wait follow me commands of the OG, because like there's something about going like spread out, and she just like goes wherever she wants, and I'm like, come on, Ashley, like really, you're still out in the open and the enemies can still grab you. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was thinking about the two. I think my favorite iteration of Ashley is OG, and that's more so with how you can get her to just follow you or stop and tell her to wait in like a barrel or whatever. Or
her controls. Her controls are better in the original. Her characterization is better in the remake.
Yes, yeah.
She's voiced by Carolyn Lawrence as Sandy Cheeks.
That's one of the great things about her in the original, of course.
Yeah, because again, they try to... I wouldn't say take everything seriously, but there is this more haunting air about everything, where again, like 2 and 3 remake before it, the environments are more dense. Again, there are like these different weather conditions, so the environments look fucking gorgeous. When it's raining, it looks great. When it's when there's hellfire raining upon you when you're trying to get through the castle, like that's really cool. So definitely the bits where you don't have Ashley are very reminiscent of like 2, but on a slightly bigger scale because of how much more you can do as Leon with the combat. It's the first one to really include combat to that scale, and they would only expand on it in the later games. But that was really cool to mess with. And again, it does complement the over-the-top silliness of what 4 is. And even, again, retaining that for remake, for as much as they do try to take a little more seriously. And it affects characters like Salazar, unfortunately. But I say he still has, like his laugh is still kind of cool, and like they do have like fun with a few camera angles with him, but it's nowhere near what the little shit he is in the original.
Yeah,
which is what he's supposed to be.
Voice acting's good, but like it's just not. He's not like funny anymore.
Yeah,
like he's supposed to be like a funny little shit, and like he's not. He's just kind of annoying. Like,
yeah, because he looks back and laughs when he's running out of the little room where he sends the spikes down on you. It's really funny.
That's so like
he's so proud of himself.
I know. That's what I love about him. Like every little thing he does is just like he acts like it's the best thing he's ever done.
He's allergic to eggs, also apparently. So
yeah.
So that's the thing.
Oh, when you had me do that in the
child.
remake, fucking with
He's
the golden
just a
eggs.
child.
Oh my god.
The golden egg thing was really funny because I remember it was really hard to keep that a secret in the sense, like for me, in the sense that like, because our mom was also watching us, like she was joining us on this whole like fucking journey through Resident Evil, and so they were both confused, like, okay, well, because I go, oh, they're gonna have you do a little like blue mission where you need to get a golden egg. Don't sell that shit. They want you to. Don't do it. You need it for a thing. And that's all I could really say. So it was in the inventory for like ever. And Vic's like, what am I going to use this thing? I'm like, it's coming. Don't worry about it. I'm like, you have to get another one first.
Yeah, and then you had me find the second one. And then once I did, and then we got to
I was like, the plan is almost complete.
Yeah. When we got to Salazar's Right, you were like, so remember the golden eggs? I was like, yeah, and then you explained it to me, and I was like,
throw them at him. Plus, RE4 is abundant with a bunch of cool speedrun tactics that Aaron taught me. Both OG and Remake, but Remake has a bunch of good ones.
Oh, Remake has so many like good speedrunning tactics that I've used in my playthroughs. Like,
and some of the
I taught you some of them too.
Some of the same ones do work across both games, or even if they're not speedrun tactics, it's more just, oh, got a boss you need to deal with, blow that motherfucker up with the rocket launcher. We did that to the Verdugo.
Yeah.
In both versions. I was like, it took a while to get it. He was a little frustrated, but
because it didn't feel like it. Like every time I thought I lined it up, it would like go past him, and it's like, god damn it.
You have to hit him like spot on. But it was really satisfying because you didn't have to do the
it was
whole
satisfying,
song and dance of having to like freeze his ass and then shoot him. You just freeze his ass once and then boom, he's dead. Both versions works that way. It's really good. Did you like the regenerators?
I like the regenerators.
The Iron
because
Maidens?
they're really, really scary. No, I actually don't like them. I do like them, but I don't like them.
Yeah. As an enemy, they're cool. As a fucking thing you have to deal with, oh.
Yeah. I like their... I really like their horrifying noises.
Yeah, and like the fact in the remake you can see their eyes glowing in the dark. Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Vic?
Those are like the wiggly guys, right?
Yeah, they go on the ground and they go...
Yeah, they're funny.
Funny!
They're really
Iron
funny
Maidens are really scary.
They're fucking... Ugh. But you don't deal with a whole bunch of them in the remake. Do you deal with more of them in the OG?
Not a whole lot. I think there's a couple that I remember specifically.
Okay. I remember like maybe 3, maybe 2 in the remake, literally.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, we didn't really find the Iron Maidens that annoying at all. It was just trying to remember when they shot out the spikes.
After you kill them.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was interesting, again, in terms of additions and stuff and dialogue and things with Ashley, this is just, it'll speak to what we're going to talk about in the end, which is, as we do with a lot of these things that are still ongoing franchises, which is the future, I thought it was really interesting when they added that little bit of dialogue for Ashley where she mentions wanting to be an agent like Leon, and I'm like, oh, please do that. That'd be so fucking cool to get to play as her with guns.
Yeah, or just, can we get a spin-off Ashley game?
Or just to check up on her, or even just like in 9, hopefully, or like in some other game where later, because again, they did it with Sherry. Why not do it with Ashley, where like you see them all this time later and they're badass? Like with Sherry, they did that. Do it with fucking Ashley.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Because there's plenty of, callbacks in later games to 4 specifically, but like in terms of catching up with characters, that's not a thing the franchise usually does. They'll catch up with like a lot of their main characters, but it mainly just boils down to Jill, Leon, and Chris. After that, like Barry, like who? Rebecca, like huh? I don't remember her.
Ashley's section in the remake is better than the original, though. Like it's so much more fun.
It was interesting. I liked it. It had a creepier vibe in remake because of what you had to do and with the lantern and everything, and how all the knights came to life. The OG was funny because you got to throw like the lanterns at.
Yeah, you get to throw stuff at people. That's funny. And the slide puzzle is like, that's fun. Once you know how to do it, it's fun. It's not fun if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it took not that long. We thought it was going to take them a long while, and we were going to cut, and then we didn't cut because we were
only cut like a few seconds, because then after a while I did 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it didn't take you that long, but then I think right after, didn't I show you like the actual solution to it?
Yeah, you did.
I was like, just take the middle piece, like move it out, and then like all of them clockwise around, and that's it.
Yeah, it's really funny. But the stuff like in the remake, like throwing the grenade to kill the dude who drops you down into that ambush, and being able to avoid all that to get one of the pieces for the Chimera, and then the one I still couldn't perfect after you showed it to me was trying to do, and really early on in the game, trying to prevent one of the guys from alerting the dogs in the main part of the village. That one's hard.
Yeah, that's a tough one to do, but I've done it before, and like
I've seen you do it.
It's so weird because like you don't even realize that you can do it. And then because you have to like really, once you get out of that tunnel, you have to like immediately get out your rifle, like see the guy and just like bam, 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 and like try to get a headshot. If you can't, just like wail on him until he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you had me try and do that, and I wasn't.
I tried doing it. I think after at some point I couldn't do it. Vic, I tried to have him do it. I explained it to him, and it still was really tough.
I was just confused because I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look at.
Because by the time we were already trying to look, we might have already triggered it. It's that fucking, like, precise. Like, the moment you, like, slink out from behind, like, the corner and look outside, he's perched there, but it's hard to, like, he'll see you real fucking fast.
You have to have, like, your rifle at the ready, and then just... you almost have to like be looking through the rifle already and then like moving as you're doing that.
That's what we did, and we still missed it. It was like fuck, because he moves like right away.
Yeah, he moves really fast. It's that, and the other one that I kept messing up on one of my playthroughs was it's the one big area with all the enemies where we're escorting Ashley around, and If they catch you, like, they'll ring the fucking bell, and then the guy with the hammer will show up.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember talking about.
But if you headshot all of them, then it'll be fine.
I'm trying to think of other moments. No, again, being able to parry stuff was very fucking fun when I was able to do it. And that was kind of the trade-off. You could parry things and stuff, so give you a better chance to survive, and to kind of swiftly go from that, like, combo into, like, oh, you stagger them, now go and melee them. But the thing that you didn't like, and a lot of people also didn't when you were first seeing info about the remake, was that the trade-off is you can do that stuff now, but now you've got weapon degradation.
Yeah, knife durability is not fun.
Which you could use.
I don't like breakable weapons in games. I just don't. I don't like the concept. I never have.
Yeah, you could just use the knife willy-nilly in the original. But again, it set a more action-packed route for the franchise for a while there, and really, with the combination of that, the movies, and I guess whatever OG3 must have done, it really set Resident Evil apart as being like, well, it's horror, but now it's action, because we get to 5. We get to 5, and someone there said
5 is kind of almost where it all goes downhill, but it's still fun.
5 said, let's go ham with that shit. And so we get Chris and Shiva doing some crazy shooting the Africans, as we call it, and it's bad. It's not a very good look, especially when you consider that the, I think, original trailer didn't really explain that there was even a virus around, so it just looked like Chris was just shooting regular people. And the funny thing is, you would think that fans and everyone else is like, well, yeah, but like, obviously there's gonna be something wrong with them, and this and that. My mom was also saying that her biggest critique of, if you could believe it, 4 and 5, was that they didn't look, what's the word, like, they felt like they were still too much like regular people. It felt like you were just killing normal-looking people. I mean, obviously, yes, with the plagas in 4, the OG plagas, I should say, because 5 deals with Type 2 and Type 3 plagas. But in 4, with the plagas, obviously it does mutate them. That's not really what my mom was getting at. It's just that with a zombie, they're already dead. They are this, ethereal, fictional being that you have to murder, because they cannot think for themselves and they are, out for blood. But then... Well,
that's what makes, like, RE4 so, like, crazy and weird and also sad, is because, like, if you start the game and you just immediately just, like, kill a dude. It's just a dude.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why did Leon do that? And then, but that sets the tone for the rest of the game, and it's like, at one point you just, like, you stop caring. You just stop caring that that's a thing. And then finally, during the credits, you get, like, the whole, like, backstory thing, and it's really sad.
No, for real. And the thing, too, that is interesting about how they do it in 4, 5, and even arguably 6, is that I know what they're trying to do. It's a very, like, we're upping the scale, so they are smarter. They do retain a lot of their intelligence as they're mutating. So it's half that they're mutating, half, no, they really can still think, and that's why they're after you. It's not just because they're bloodthirsty and can't, their like, cognitive functions have, like, diminished entirely, as a zombo.
It's a cult. It's a cult, and they're just, like, it's, ingrained into their brains to, like, destroy the outsiders.
But then in 5, they're on fucking... Yeah, and then in 5, they're on fucking, like, motorcycles and shit.
Yeah.
And there's quick time events.
Motorcycle
cult. And then they're also on, like, Humvees and shit. And there's even a... I was actually... When you and I played that, Aaron, it was very interesting, because we both played it blind, to see how much of 4 they actually retained, because I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting the Plagas to return. I wasn't expecting another El Gigante to show up. That's all shit that came from 4, and I'm like, whoa. They even straight up mentioned 4, because Chris makes a one-off mention of the Ganados, and so I'm like, that's cool. Like, we've got some continuity here. I just didn't realize they were going to borrow as much as they did. Because a lot of the combat's kind of the same. You even have a Dr. Salvador with those dudes with the chainsaws.
Yeah.
A lot of stand-ins.
Like really, the bigger enemies, like they got actually really scary in 5. I remember some of them looked like really, really scary.
And one of the ideas that they played with for a concept of the plot in 4, they actually moved over to 5, which is where they officially, I believe, showed off the progenitor virus, and we found out how that origin kind of started, because that's what made the T virus. And then with the flashbacks to Spencer and everything, like, it attempts to tie itself back into the other things with Jill and Chris and all that.
Yeah, Lost in Nightmares was really fun.
And yeah, that was super fun.
I would actually like to
doing that. In fact, that's one of the enemies like that I'm talking about. Like, what was like that
executioner
enemy with the fucking sight? That thing was scary.
I
hated that.
You screamed a few times.
Oh my god! I did scream.
You did.
Wait, which one?
In Lost in Nightmares, there are some very unique. There's a unique enemy type only found in that mode.
Oh, really?
And they're these big, crazy motherfuckers. Yeah, they're insane.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say I want to re-download 5 on my console to do that.
It's fun. It's good stuff.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
Wesker's my favorite villain.
What?
Wesker's my favorite villain.
Oh yeah. We have to get into that now.
Chris's Way.
Chris's Way. Chris's Way.
I love Wesker. He's stupid.
I love how all your descriptions of the human characters that are normal are like, I love him. He's cool. He's stupid as shit, but I love him.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this much. Okay.
That man is stupid.
For all of us collectively, 5 was very divisive. Vic and I had learning off of what Aaron and I did when we played, Vic and I had a much better experience because you and I, Aaron, had a slog through a lot of those boss fights.
Because we didn't know how to do it, especially the last one. That last Wesker fight was like fucking stupid. It was so dumb because we did not know what to do.
Yeah, that was pretty confusing.
Even when I knew what to do playing it with Vic, like we died a couple times because each player has to take like these steps in order to stay alive and get the one up on Wesker, and it's just like, dude. And as it comes to be, by the time we get to that point, we're low on ammo. So it's just like, fuck. It's so messy. And the thing that really sucked about it was that when we didn't know what to do, like when Aaron and I were playing, we didn't know what to do. We were playing through it blind for the first time. And the phases of the different bosses would happen. And then we thought we were doing the right thing, but apparently we weren't because we didn't have enough time to really, like, destroy the boss enough. We thought we were making headway, and then they'll just backpedal to their previous phase. And that first Ouroboros fight, where you get the flamethrower, was so shit, because we were on that for, like, 30 minutes trying to figure out how to beat him. And it was like a no-brainer. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no shit. One of us gets the flamethrower. We have to do the thing with him and shoot him enough times. He'll throw his limbs out and attach himself to the ceiling. Then you got to blow the limbs off with the flamethrower. We knew to do that. We were trying to do it, and I guess we weren't doing it correctly or...
The flamethrower. Wait.
In enough time.
Which one was this?
5? The first fight?
Oh, the flamethrower. Yeah, okay, yeah. The
slithery motherfucker, yeah.
The thing that looks like the Leech Man. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, okay, that one was... No, I'm thinking of... that one and the...
Excella?
No.
Excella?
Yes, Excel. Oh my god, Excel. I did not know that there was a rocket launcher down there.
Yeah.
I had the key card on me the entire time, and I was like, wait a minit. Am I supposed to do something with this? I go down to the bottom, I'm just like, there's a rocket launcher in here. And you're like looking down at me like, what the fuck? And then
because we spent, another like fucking half hour on that shit. We just happened to forget. I think on my screen, I can't recall if I saw an icon showing that we had something, an item we could use. I don't know if it was on your screen, but clearly neither of us, it was not made clear to either of us because we just happened to have forgotten it in the heat of trying to fight the boss. So when you finally were like, oh shit, I have a thing here, and you used it, it's like, oh well, now we're making headway. But the problem is, the characters don't give you, the player, a little bit of like heads up. Like, the game didn't ever thought when making the game to give the characters some dialogue to be like, on some like Uncharted shit, like, I guess I can't do that yet, or like, I guess we have to go and use the card. Something, like, right?
If you're like, I get that can be annoying if you don't need it. It's like, oh, tutorial things when I don't even like, don't think I'm stupid or whatever. It's like, okay, I understand that. Don't say it right away. After you spend a half hour doing something that you're not supposed to do, maybe the character should step in and say like, maybe there's another way to do this.
Yeah. No, for real. And that kept us on those bosses for way longer than we should have. And I found out while watching, other people play, just buy a rocket launcher. Just save up your money, spend $10,000 on a fucking rocket launcher, keep it on you. Because when we get to the boss, boom, they're dead. They really go down that fast. And I get what that was.
It's really funny.
I get what that whole situation was supposed to be about, because, like, the first 3 games, you end most of those big fights at the very end of the game with a rocket launcher. So they wanted to give you that kind of power as just a common thing you could do, but then to offset it, but you have to spend a crap load of cash to get it. But we always had a lot of cash on us. But by the time I figured out how, the treasures are here, spend the treasures immediately when you're in the in-between phases, between chapters and whatnot, or when you die and then you have to reset and it throws you to the inventory menu, just save your fucking cash. One person, at the very least, get a fucking rocket launcher, and then save it for when you know a boss is going to come. And then you can just take them out like that. And we got through those boss fights real fucking fast.
You know what's a fun thing I did learn about 5? When you fight the Ouroboros thing the second time when you're in the lab with the flamethrower bit, I didn't realize that fight has a bug where it could just go on forever.
That's what was happening. Aaron and I were trying to... we understood the assignment. Apparently we just weren't doing it right. I don't know. Maybe we hit that bug. I have no fucking clue. Because the motherfucker kept going from one phase to the previous phase to the other phase back to the previous phase, and we were trying to...
it was just like... It was going in a loop, and we couldn't figure out anything. Like, we couldn't figure out what was happening.
Don't get me started on the guy, that big fucking creature with the mouth. Don't get me started on that shit.
Oh my god, the big thing in that one area where we were, like, going around in a circle.
Yeah.
The elevator one?
And then we had to just shoot, and then it kept sending out the little things, and we had to like shoot those little bug things. Yeah, that was really annoying.
Guess what? Like, flamethrower or grenade launcher, rocket launcher. Guess what?
Like, yeah, I think everything we ran into so many annoying things in that game. Like, it was the bosses.
The bosses.
Like, honestly, that final boss, I have never hurt my finger more mashing a button than I have in my entire life.
Well,
like that. I actively damaged my finger.
Well, guess what? So yeah, I should also mention, this was the first game of 2 to where, well, actually I think Revelations 2 does this. I'm not sure about the first one. Where you can play online with someone else. So I played online with Aaron, played online with Vic. And when we played, me and Aaron, she was Sheva, I was Chris. We flipped it when I played with Vic, so I actually got to play Sheva. Yeah, no, I agree with you. God damn, doing that one specific quick time event where you're almost falling off the little cliffside.
No, it's extremely...
It's bad.
Like, you have to mash it so hard, like, it's not even funny. Like, I have never had to do that in any other game.
Yeah.
It's not even like a regular mash. It's like how many times, like, how much do they want me to do this? Like,
No, for real. It was insane.
It's so poorly designed, and like, don't get me started on the damn light room. The fucking light puzzle. That shit, oh my god.
The little laser room.
How many times did we have to do that? The freaking laser room. How many times did we have to do that over? Because we kept messing it up.
When we first figured out that, if you turn a certain way, you can kill yourself, that was fun. But there was also stuff in the room to explore as well. They give you a fucking Kaizo trap where you just open up an empty treasure chest and a bunch of dudes come after you, so that was fun. But that last one was really tough, and even when Vic and I were playing, I couldn't remember how to do it, and I said, fuck it. You know what? Miharu and I, we played it blind for that first time, and we figured out how to do it. I don't think we looked it up that very first blind time. I'm like, fuck it. And we looked it up when Vic and I played. Because I was like, well, I did it once.
It was actually pretty simple once
did
you
it once.
knew what it was. I was like, oh, okay, you move this one bit, you move the one in the middle preemptively, and then you do the one outside to then make it go into the elevator bit.
It's weird. But
I actually didn't know that if you did it the opposite way and you shine the light, you opened up the 2 side rooms where the spiders come out from.
Well, you kept standing out in the open most of the time. You weren't hiding behind.
Well, I tried. No. I did try, and sometimes it would still get me, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah,
I thought I was positioned right, correctly. Like I thought I was positioned just out of sight enough, and it still fucking cut me, and not in half, but like it still burned me to a crisp.
I say you didn't go on the platforms at first. I
didn't know they were there. Well, you know what? I didn't see them. I didn't see the step on the second one. If I remember right. But in any case, the funny thing was actually the exploration and all that, and some of the combat was actually the better things I liked about it. Sometimes it was a little egregious, but in knowing what to do after playing it with Miharu, like, it got a little easier. And again, actually finding out, so is that his official name, or did you just happen to call him JJ? The big dudes with the Gatling guns.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that is actually the official name.
That's the official name?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
His
Okay.
official name. Yeah.
So you remember the bit at the very end where there's the 2 of them, and that was hell when we played. Rocket launcher, grenade launcher, whatever.
Yeah.
I had one and Vic had one because I was like, I was under the impression that they were going to split up and we'd have to fight them individually. So I'm like, well, I've got one, Vic has one. I'll use mine on one, Vic will use his on the other. And somewhere along the way, I used mine on one of them, but the blast radius was just wide enough that it killed the other one. And I was like, oh shit!
That. Yeah, you got both of them.
And we made light work out of that room because they both hold the key cards needed to exit out of that area. So we left everyone else. I just said we didn't even get the other stuff that was on the top part or anything like that, like all the other ammo bits and all. I was just like, fuck it,
did.
Get those. No, well,
I remember we went up there. I think
maybe, but
I think we went up there after we had killed them to be like, let's.
No. We got those key cards and we fucked off out of there.
I remember looking through those rooms, the top rooms.
I don't know. But
also, not to flex, but I was getting a higher ranking than you a lot of the time.
You were. But not to flex. She absolutely means that she loves the fact that she was doing things better than I was.
I do, because it made me realize that I know the controls like better than I thought I did.
Oh yeah, same. When I played the first time, like, I was definitely surprised whenever I got like an S or something. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize I did this like really good.
Specifically, once I got the sniper, I think I was the one with the sniper most of the time, and I did save your ass a lot with that.
That's true. That is true. I sniped a lot during the playthrough with Vic. I know that for a fact. Because I got a better. Which one? What? I'm trying to think. Which game had the fastest snipe? It was either 5 or 6. But yeah, so 5, for what it's worth, it does a lot of things really weird. And apart from just the fact of, it's 2 action path now, I don't even care really about that. I just, the flow of it was very nice. And it still had its kind of like, basic structure of first you're in the kind of like little outskirts of like the little sort of city, I guess. And then you're like in the more underground. The whole underground bit just reminded me of Uncharted.
Yeah,
it felt very Uncharted-like.
It was a lot like Uncharted. That honestly, that laser room was very Uncharted.
Yeah.
But no, 5 really surprised me. It pleasantly surprised me, like how much it felt like 4, except like just more actiony. So I felt like I was able to get used to it a lot faster. Except some of the controls were different, and that was a little off. But
yeah, that's true.
Like it was. I had a really good time with that for the most part.
Those
with the co-op.
Those bug enemies can go fuck themselves as well. Remember those bugs?
Oh god, are you talking about the Reapers?
Yeah, those fucking things.
I hate those things.
Oh,
those
The
are
ones that
worst.
do that,
Oh,
the
yeah.
shields, and they have the white...
Yeah.
I'm trying to remind Vic, yeah. Those guys
They have-
sucked.
What?
the,
I didn't really-
the insta-kill ones.
I
Yeah,
didn't
they
really
suck.
find them all that annoying. I think that's
Because you didn't have to deal
I-
with them as much as I did.
Well, I mean, I think that's
I
also
killed a good
because
chunk of them during our playthrough.
well, I remember killing some with a grenade launcher, and that like almost immediately killed them.
I think I screamed every single time, like, one came after me.
Because they're fucking creepy, and I hate them. And yeah, they do have an insta-kill move. If you get like right up in them, they'll
Yeah,
just...
if you're like in their face.
They'll
and
like
they,
pierce through like your sides, and they just destroy you, and it's like, ugh. Fucking
Yeah,
annoying.
it sucks. But yeah, it pleasantly surprised me how fun that game was. And then we got 6. And I didn't like it so much.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy.
Resident Evil 6. The longest one, by a long shot, because it's essentially 4 games in one.
We only played one of the stories, but that was enough for me, because I didn't want to play any more.
You're lucky.
Okay. So, the thing too, right, is during my initial binge of everything, since I was the one that started all this, I needed a partner. I didn't want to play with the fucking CPU. So, for 5 and Leon's campaign at 6, I enlisted in Aaron's help, and then when she didn't want to play 6 anymore, Vic and I were playing through 5, and then we played through Leon's again, and then the 3. So there's 4 in total. And 6 is so fucking funny because it has a lot in it that's still quite Resident Evil, but the way they recontextualize a bunch of different shit. First off, I should also say that 4, 5, and 6, well, 5 and 6, they get rid of a lot of the staples from Resident Evil, or again, they recontextualize, or rather, like, redesign them. So the herbs work very weirdly in 6. They're more like little tic-tac packets now. There are no more item boxes, no more, whatchamacallits, when you save in between, you don't have, like, a typewriter. So they got rid of a lot of staples, and then again redid a bunch of other staples. But for the more action-packed route they went, again, they went, if you thought it couldn't get any, crazier with, 5 1-upped 4, well, 6 1-upped everything, because you start Leon's with him killing the president. That's fun.
Yeah.
And Helena's like a Secret Service chick who, like, I don't know, had a thing with Simmons to do whatever. Her side story was, her little plot was weird. But her sister dies. She's also naked, so that was a thing.
Yeah, and then you can fight her and stuff.
Fight
But then
naked
Ada helps
Deborah.
you, so that's pretty cool.
Ada comes back, because of course she does. Deborah. And then, it's nuts. So you have Leon and Helena, you've got Chris and Piers, you have Jake and Sherry, and then you have Ada on her own. Or
Yo, well, shout out to my favorite Resident Evil character,
Agent.
best boy.
Agent.
Everyone's favorite
Man.
Agent.
Mans exists on a different plane.
That character was added so last minute to Ada's playthrough.
Dude, he was Faxton. What are you talking about? Yeah. The man is on the freaking menu, but like he doesn't have his own little thingy to look at him. Like he's just there.
He was put in so last minute. He just didn't.
Wow.
I don't even know why you needed like another fucking. Why she needed some little partner.
Because they
There's
were
just
like,
no
this
point.
has to be co-op.
Okay.
They were really like that was the point where they were really like. I think 6 was where. That was the time period where it's like if your game does not have online co-op, your game will be trash. So
yeah, your game's gonna fail, and then the game was trash anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like they were. That's why they were. That's why Agent is so like just put in.
So Resident Evil 5 was the first one on PS3. RE6 is the PS3est ass game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Because
out of all the Resident Evil games, RE6 is the most PS3 game I've ever seen.
because of just its time that it came out in, it was what 2012 or something, 2011. With how like just how the game looks, how it feels like graphically and everything it is insane. It's one of those things where like I've touched on it I think in some other videos in the past where like when it came from the time for a lot of franchises to move over from PS2 to PS3 and we were in the era of Call of Duty and other shit, a lot of shit changed. Platformers even changed. And franchises like Resident Evil also changed. Chris and Pierre's playthrough does not feel like Resident Evil. It feels like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Huh.
It just straight up feels like Call of Duty.
I'm glad
Because...
I wasn't doing it.
Yeah. Do you remember the joke that JonTron made in his Banjo video where he was like, Baron Bird and Alpha Team, go over here to the waypoint, Major? That's what it feels like.
Pretty
Well,
much.
yeah.
That's what it feels for. The extraction point, rendezvous, like it's a lot of that type of shit.
And I remember that's when you told me that when they were doing the different campaigns, they were trying to appeal to everyone, right?
I watched the Matt McMuscle's video, the What Happened video on RE6, and he said that the reason that Capcom did this, the way they did this, and the reason why having the 4 campaigns, and yes, they do cross over into one another at various times, and that was the kind of cool thing. It's very Sonic-like, weirdly enough, in that way, in that aspect. But the reason why they all have their different, every campaign has their different feel, which I guess comes down to the fucking, like, UI and all that. Like, the UI is different in every fucking playthrough and shit like that. Is because, yes, each one was meant to feel different. To, kind of, what's the word?
Appeal to a broader audience.
Because, again, I can't think right now. To different audiences. Those that don't like too much horror, well, you'll find more action adventure with Leon. You'll find more tactical Black Op-like whatever shit with, soldiers and big guns and saving your teammates with Chris and them. And then you've got the more like science experimental whatevers and something's up with Jake's blood or some shit with that playthrough. And then the more espionage kind of stealth-like shit, trying to figure out what's going on with, with Ada's stuff. Simmons has an unhealthy relationship with her. I don't know how that happened. Something between her and then like him trying to resurrect his wife, but she's an Ada clone.
Why is it always something about a dead wife? Why is it always a dead wife?
It is always a dead wife, except this wife looks like a different woman altogether.
I know. It's always a dead wife.
I still, as you can clearly tell, don't understand fully that fucking plot point.
I don't either.
Because when I was first introduced to it, I'm like, all I heard was there are 2 Adas. I'm like, why? And then playing it, I'm just like, oh, so it has to do with the wife. But again, I ask, why? Like, I don't. It's fucking bizarre. And it's trying to mash a lot of different things. Yeah, the sci-fi-ness of it, the experimentalness of it, the creepy. I have to say, creepy. It's not really. It's not horror. Resident Evil 6 is not a horror game.
No, it's not at all.
I can't in good conscience call it a horror game. It has creepily designed enemies, like that dude that can put himself back together. That was cool.
Creepy enemies.
Kind of like a regenerator.
What was that one? The one really annoying one that screamed all the time.
Oh yeah, that fucker. We just called him the Screamer because that's all he would do. The titty monster was funny. The one that shot the blue. The stuff that turned people into zombies upon contact, and then they nuked fucking China with that shit. That was a plot point.
That was the thing.
You literally are on. You pilot and drive planes, trains, and automobiles in that game.
Yeah.
Because you do pilot a jet. You pilot a jet. You pilot an actual like commercial airline like plane. When you're first going into China, you fight on top of a train with Simmons. There's the car chase, the epic crash Resident Evil tag team racing.
Oh, that shit was confusing at first, and then like after a while, I was like, oh.
When they have to pursue Ada, that was funny.
Racing.
6 is fucking
Resident
weird.
Evil.
6 is weird. I kind of like it. There's a bizarre because of like the weird shit you can do where you can like fucking give each other compliments and dumb bullshit, or just the silly co-op shit you can do with friends. The rolling around and like
my god,
shimmying like on the ground, that shit's hilarious. Like it's stupid.
That is funny.
But it's like really funny, and I don't know, like having like a designated like melee button was kind of cool, and when you do a running start, you could do some crazy like WWE ass shit on like the fucking zombies.
Yeah, it's like stupid funny.
It's so funny. And a part of me, again, kind of likes it because I love goofy shit like that. And when, again, I grew up with Crash. Crash of the Titans, everyone says, is so unlike a Crash game. And I'm over here like, I love that shit. So I'm no stranger to games in franchises. Like, there's one game where everyone goes, well, that's not like the rest of the franchise, therefore I hate it. And I'm over here like, I get why you would hate it. I think it's silly and kind of fun. But there's a lot of it that is kind of annoying. I don't disagree on that front.
You know what? You know what's really annoying?
Yeah.
Jake, there are two sections in Jake's campaign that are really annoying. It's the snowmobile section and the motorcycle section. Fuck those sections entirely. I hate both of them.
Yeah. Oh god, the motorcycle section was fucking weird.
I hated it a lot.
Having to travel through the snow was fucking annoying because
Oh, in the snow mountain area. Oh my god.
you're like half blind because it's like all this fog everywhere and you're trying to figure out where to go and you have to get like a
Yeah,
key
you have to like
card.
fucking rely on the mini map.
You do. You have to rely on the minimap. I mean, you can combine the green herb with the red herb. It's Resident Evil, everyone.
You was his
Hunnigan's in the game. Remember Hunnigan?
Ryan Hunnigan.
I think it was really funny. There was a part. It wasn't Leon's campaign. It was when we were doing Leon for the first, or when I did Leon for the first time. I remember we were doing one of the Simmons fights. I think it was the first one on the train, and you had to go and like do something. And I did like a section of that fight by myself.
Oh yeah.
Somehow, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Just again for reference, right now, my headphones popped out a little bit. Did you say anything just earlier, Aaron, by chance?
No, I didn't.
Okay, just
I was
checking.
just keeping track of the time. We're on 2 hours right now.
Yeah, we've got a lot to cover. But that's 6. That's 6. Before we get to 7, I do want to mention the Revelations games. Just super quickly again, we're not done with 2. I got about 3/4 of the way through it. There's only 4 chapters, but they're quite long. Each of them are quite long. I got near the end of chapter 3 before we restarted entirely, so because Vic had caught up at that point. So I don't know everything about Revelations 2, but with 1, it was actually very interesting since it started as a 3DS game and they ported it over to home consoles. And it was really fun because they described that one as them trying to go back to their roots. This one takes place between 4 and 5 because the ending, the very, very ending, leads directly into Lost in Nightmares. So that was really cool. And Revelations 2 takes place between 5 and 6 because they mentioned Ouroboros. And as the direct sequel to Revelations 1, they even mentioned Terra Grigia, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I do like how Revelations 1 is structured like how I described it, a Saturday morning cartoon.
With the previously on, the previously on was really cool. They wanted it because the whole thing is a whodunit type of plotline. Because there's a lot of mystery of like, well, is he bad because he's doing some weird stuff, or he seemed like he kind of like said something that sounds like a villain what a villain would say, but then like, oh, we find out it's because of this or whatever, or like, and who's the mole? There's a mole in the group somewhere. So that stuff was a lot of fun.
Fucking Jessica and her stupid ass scuba diving suit.
Jessica's flashback suit, I was like, but then they show the swimsuit off, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
The designer, I forget who it was, but one of the artists who designed that suit, he was like, yeah, kind of a little too far in a few places, but yeah, he said, yeah, it looks ridiculous. He also, because that, okay, so Aaron, you should look up, not necessarily right now, but like, there's a character in Revelations called Jessica, and her outfits are fucking weird. Well, the swimsuit one, it looks like a normal ass skin tight swimsuit, but she has one entire leg of the swimsuit missing, so it's just her bare leg. So one leg is covered, the other one just completely isn't, and it looks really silly.
It looks dumb. I hate it.
And you would think a connoisseur of leg, would like that, but I was like, no, it just looks silly.
It just looks ridiculous.
I love that.
Did you see it? Are you looking at it?
I love that. What are you talking about? That looks amazing. That's a design I would do.
Oh my god.
Find her flashback one where she has the short hair and the little like beret thing.
See, her other outfits are fine.
That one was cool.
That's just the scuba one looks dumb.
Me and my sweet ass are on the way.
Oh my god.
That was really funny. Yeah, her talking randomly about trust and about Jill and everything, that was supposed to be your clue, like, right away that she was the mole. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Some little beats like that are really weird, but, again, it did feel like some of it kind of felt like a bite-sized Resident Evil, but then at the same time, it still kind of did feel like a full-ass game.
So yeah, for it being a port, like, it was really good. Because
it was given the treatment of a mainline like console game, even though it started on 3DS. And it was them stating, you know, this is a game where we're trying to get back kind of to our roots of like the horror. It's not as action packed, and there's like a little bit of, you can still kind of melee, but I never really used it because you don't really need it. It goes back to shooting and stuff, and the item box is back, but it works a little bit differently. You have to find those custom parts and all that.
Okay, so
that was a little weird.
I don't mind the custom parts bit. I just didn't like how they handled the item box.
It was weird.
It was very weird.
Even 5. I mean, anything like,
I got used to 5's inventory. It didn't like it was weird, but
also
I
the
got
upgrade
used
system.
to it.
But the upgrade system too, like that wasn't that bad either.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad either.
But then with Revelations and 2, and in fact in 2 it's a little worse because it's just so rare to come across these parts. Unless they're everywhere and you have to like really fucking look for them, in which case I probably missed a whole crap ton. But in the fact that you already have like a crap ton of guns, so you're not finding a whole lot of guns on your own, and that was one of the cooler things about the early Resident Evils, that you could just find guns. Having the merchant was fun for upgrading. I still think the merchant, the merchant himself, because I'm talking about the merchant mechanic, generic merchant. But then in RE4, the merchant, and then also in Village with the Duke, the both of them, that's a great mechanic because there's always someone you can go to in multiple spots to go in and upgrade the guns you find, and it's done in a very, very nice process. Very straightforward. In 5, you don't have a merchant, but you always get to, whenever you die or start a new chapter, you go into the inventory system and you get to do all your shit right then and there. And you have as much time as you need. You can just, you know, prep everything, and that's fine. In Revelations 1 and 2, you have to find these parts, and then you go to a workbench in 2 or the item box in 1, and you...
What is this, Horizon?
Yeah, right, and you have to like go in, and then it tells you what part you got, and those parts only work with certain guns. Some might not work for every weapon. Like it's still a mix and match, but some are limited to only a couple of guns or whatever. It's weird. It's really weird, and I don't really care for it.
Yeah, and some parts only worked for one specific kind of gun.
Yeah. So.
Which again, I didn't mind the parts like that, because then it's like, okay, well then you have to use this for that, and then it's like, well, which part would be better for this gun? Which I didn't necessarily mind, especially the fact that it had different levels. So it was like, oh, well, this one's more powerful than this one, so you could just swap out this with that. I didn't mind that, but I think that the item box, or the weapons box or whatever from Revelations 1 is meh. Like, it's okay, but I would have preferred it to where it's like you find things and you store them in a box or whatever. And in 2, it's just kind of like,
I know, why not just go the whole...
a little worse.
Like, why not go the whole route, the whole way, and just, bring back item boxes as they worked in the earlier games. And also, why even in such a smaller scale game like Revelations, why even have the need to upgrade those guns at all? There's just no real point. Not necessarily. Like, whenever I found a part, I would apply it to a weapon, but I never really felt like I needed to. Like, I saw some differences, and that's good, but, like, yeah, I just vastly prefer, if you're going to do an upgrade system, either have a merchant, or if they're trying to go more classic, at least keep what 5 did, because what 5 did was good. Like, I don't know how they would have implemented it into, like, the normal gameplay, if that makes sense. I guess you'd still have to do you could probably still do
you know how, like,
it's weird.
You know how, like, in Revelations 2, how it has the like the tree branches of, like, the skills and whatnot? You could do that. You could do that with the weapons.
So. Oh, mind you, too, we didn't even mention, in 6, they did some weird butt-fuck shit like that, too, where you had to, like, choose, like, 5... There's 5 million
skills.
Upgrades, but you only have slots for, like, maybe a couple.
Yeah.
You only have, like, slots for 3.
Dumb.
Yeah.
I don't like how that works. I also don't like the swimming controls in 6. This sucks.
They were really bad. In Revelations 1, they were a lot better. But that came out before, but still.
Okay, from this point on, I have nothing to say. I haven't played Revelations. I haven't played RE7. I haven't played RE8.
Okay, so we'll try to breeze through these as quick as possible. I mean, you can, at least whatever you do know, you can pop in whenever we say something or something comes to mind. But we'll try and get to this last part real quick. Yeah, Revelations 2, again, the only other thing I think is really funny, again, inspiration-wise, I'm not sure if it's direct inspiration, but a part of me was playing this and I'm like, this is just Last of Us.
Oh,
Revelations 2 is just Last of Us. Like, down to the fact that Barry has a little fucking girl following him around, and 2 is different from 1. Again, I haven't finished, neither of us have finished 2 yet, but Revelations 2 has a whole different feel. Because Claire comes back, Moira is now a character, and that's Barry's daughter. Moira.
Yeah, the Overwatch character.
Who says shit and fuck a lot. She says that a lot. She has a sailor mouth.
Oh. Why does he allow that?
Well, you see, their relationship's a little strained. So,
Oh! So she's allowed to say shit and fuck!
Yeah, she doesn't even call Barry father or dad. She calls him Barry.
Oh my god.
They're on a first name basis. They're so disconnected from each other.
I hate that. Daddy issues.
There is a really funny reference, though. They do make a Joe Sandwich joke, because Clara... there's a bit where, at the very beginning of the game, where you're in this, like, jail, this big jail, and there's, like, this, like, trash compactor bit within the jail, and you have to flip between... This game has it to where, which Zero also does this, and this happened way earlier. Zero coming out so much earlier, before Revelations 2. But this game makes it to where you can flip between characters. So, you have Claire in this little trash compactor bit, switch to Moira and do some shit, activate it, and then as Claire, you have to go back and try and do some shit before you can hop up onto the little crushers before it crushes her. And then she makes a funny reference and she says, "One more second, that would have been a Claire sandwich."
That's not as funny.
but then Moira goes, "Does Barry tell everyone that story?" That was really funny.
That's funny.
So yeah, there's 2 plots going on, and you flip between them as the narrative progresses. You're either Team A, which is Claire and Moira, or you're Team B, which is Barry and Natalia, who's the little girl. But I'm telling you, in Revelations 2, you can there's herbs and stuff. You have to hold the button down for some reason in order to use it. It's really stupid. But you can pick up fucking cloth, bits of cloth as an item, and then there's a crafting mechanic. I mean, which of course isn't really new. At that point, it was kind of new for Resident Evil. They would do it later in 7 and 8, but crafting kind of started around there, I think, chronologically. And so you pick up bits of cloth and fucking empty bottles and shit. Then you can make Molotov cocktails. You can make fucking exploding bottles, just like Last of Us. The little girl, Natalia, her method of attack is to pick up a brick and throw it or hit people with it, like in Last of Us. And I'm like,
oh god,
Jesus Christ, this game is just Last of Us. So I thought that was really funny, just all the similarities. But it does have a different vibe. It's a little creepier, I'd say, than the first Revelations.
It's a bit creepier. It has a creepier
vibe,
vibe
the atmosphere.
than 1. Or Adventures 1.
And again, yeah, they mentioned Ouroboros, which you didn't even get to yet, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I can't remember if you did. So there's some 5 in there, because again, this takes place after 5 but before 6. And then they mention Terra Grigia, which is the Aquapolis from the first Revelations. Revelations 1, also I'll say real quick, was really cool because its theming was like all underwater and aquatic and shit. So that was really cool. The T-Abyss virus. So that was pretty silly.
Down the stairs.
Yeah. But the Revelations games, because they are canon, I mean they're cool. They don't feel like spin-offs necessarily. Like they half do and half don't. And again, 2 catches you up with characters that, or at least with Barry, and you haven't seen Barry in so fucking long, so I thought that was really cool. But yeah, that's Revelations. Is there anything last minute you want to say about those 2?
Since I still have to do 2, I still want to see where that falls within like my enjoyment with the game, like how I have with everything else.
Yeah.
But it's good so far.
I like it.
Yeah, and I do like Revelations 1. It's a good game. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's good.
And now we enter the Ethan era. Ethan Winters. Oh, Ethan Winters. Ethan Winters. Okay, so we'll get there in a minute. So, it took us a while before we eventually hit up 7, and 7, I just already knew from the beginning, I'm like, oh, this one's gonna be fucking...
7 is, I think, one of my favorite games. Like, 7 is up there
7
with...
is
7 is up there with 4 and 1.
Gross. You're not wrong.
That game is disgusting, but I have watched multiple playthroughs of it.
Yeah, so...
While eating, mind you, and I've been fine.
While eating. Whereas, yeah, I can say that Resident Evil 6, just in good conscience, can't be called a horror game. This one, like, 7 is straight up a horror game.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the sense that, you know, Resident Evil is a survival horror series, I never got true horror vibes, even from some of the remakes. I mean, I did with 2 a little bit, but 7, I remember even looking up, like, is 7 considered the scariest Resident Evil game? And everyone said yes, and I'm like, fuck. And yes, immediately upon boot up, when we got into the fucking Baker house, like, the outside bit is fine, and you're not really in for too many, like, there's like one thing that can be kind of considered a small jump scare when you're, like, in the very beginning of the game, outside, before you even get into the fucking house. But the minute you're in the house, like, it's just, it's so fucking creepy. Like, the atmosphere, and it doesn't let up. Like, you just never know what's, like, coming around any one given corner of anywhere.
I played the demo of RE7 with Kyle and Sean, and that's about all I remember. It was just like, just doing like the videotape stuff. And the welcome to the family, son.
Welcome to the family, son.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. Which again, I liked, because even though for the longest time I didn't like horror games, there's still a really weird part of me that does like paranormal horror-ish stuff. And some of the scariest things for me personally can come from very like paranormal, abstract, unseen happenings that can be very, very creepy, and that can be a good vibe too. Just that's what PT was going to be, you know, things like that. There's the type of horror. The vibes? What?
The vibes.
The vibes.
The vibes.
Because other bits of horror, like the gory horror, is just weird, and I don't always like that. Like Saw or fucking like anything like that. I don't like that kind of stuff. Vic's watched a lot of those with mom and everything. You guys have watched like Halloween, Friday the 13th and stuff like that. Kind of campy horror can be fine. I just don't always care for it. Scream even.
I love Scream.
I
love the original Scream trilogy.
I saw the first Scream. That one was really funny. But in my personal opinion, if you want just my insight into what I personally... either like from horror or think is the more effective horror type thing. Like, what's the most effective type of horror for me? Anything that's abstract, unknown, unseen. So psychological horror in a way.
Silent Hill 2.
I was gonna say Silent Hill 2
So good.
is interesting because the narrative is told almost Psychonauts-like in the sense that it's the inner machinations type thing, right? Like, everything is metaphorical and has a meaning. Even the weird, fucked up, twisted monsters. I'm talking about shit that you can't even see, that, like, shit that's actively fucking with you and you don't know where it's coming from. That kind of shit is terrifying. And that's what 7 gave me for, like, the first half. The first half of 7 was that, and it never let up. Like, when Mia comes out and fucks with you, or when Jack's following you around, like, that shit, even though they are seen, but even before that, just trying to, like, navigate where you're going, like, not knowing what's going to happen, or them, like, very, very subtly, like, leading up to, like, something might happen, but then nothing ever does. Like, that's the kind of shit that, like, I feel is more effective for me personally.
Same.
and like I said, like, a lot of that first half was like that. Once you meet the Bakers after Welcome to the Family, Son, and then you just realize, oh, I'm taking them out one by one. And then it gets a little silly, because then you have to hear them talk, and during their boss fights, they won't shut the fuck up. And then it's like, all right, now we're in Resident Evil territory. Now it stopped being like a horror game, and now it's Resident Evil again. if that makes sense. Because they're like, I'm gonna fuck you up, boy, and shit like that. It's like, all right, it's just leave this place. It's just the Boo Brothers.
Leave this place. Yeah, it's
it's the Boo Brothers. It's Resident Evil Boo Brothers.
It's Boo Brothers, but it's a horror movie. It's like an actual horror movie.
Yeah. And by the time we got to Lucas, I was like, all right, well, I don't even know what's happening anymore. This is silly.
I mean, it's silly, but it's, like, so creepy. It's, like, it's scary because it's, like, weird, you know, like, I don't know, kind of, like, horrifying situations.
Oh, no, for sure.
It has some creepy vibes here and there, yeah.
But then when you're trying to work out the puzzles, that also alleviates the creepiness, because the creepiness has to be taken down so you can focus on the puzzle. For example, when we were doing...
you had to have puzzles because it's a stupid Resident Evil game.
When we were doing the tape, the Happy Birthday tape, that was fucking... Ugh.
That one took me a while.
It took a while to figure out what to do. So it was less creepy and more like, just, what the fuck do we use on what? And what has to happen for this to happen? And then by the time we're, like, trying to... When we go into, like, Mia's perspective and we're on the boat, we find out she was part of this thing called the Connections, and it's this whole thing that has to do with Evelyn, and then it felt more like, alright, this is just Resident Evil. And Evelyn's creepy as fuck, but, I mean, apart from that, like...
I did like Evelyn's characterization in 7. I like that they just made her this thing that she'll appear sometimes and kind of fuck with you a bit, but, like, I don't know... I do like that they did focus the plot on her.
I can't believe I didn't see it coming, but the fact that when we all killed what we thought was Evelyn, and then it was the fucking grandma, I was like, even my mom, all of us were like, oh shit!
And I was the one to make that connection, because I was like, we haven't seen the grandma up to this point, so she has to be relevant somehow. Yeah. And that was the one thing I did remember before playing 7, was that I knew that the grandma was relevant in some way. I just didn't know how.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Like, I didn't know that the grandma was Evelyn.
I didn't know that either, but I knew she had, like, there was a reveal with her. I just forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Because I did see a few things prior, but I didn't remember a lot by the time we actually started playing it.
There was the jump scare when you had to fight the
with Marguerite.
Mom. Yeah, with Marguerite.
First off, fuck her. Like, just she's gross.
Yeah, I like how you go.
Her fucking egg vagina sack that you have to shoot.
Ew! Don't ever say that.
She becomes like a spider. She has long limbs. But yeah, you walk up this set of stairs and you have to go left up another flight of stairs, and there's this boarded a bit directly in front of you. It's a window that she blasts through, and I'm like, fucking Jesus!
And I laughed immediately because I remembered that bit.
Absolutely,
and I knew it was coming. I was like,
here we go.
Like,
I had
if
no
there's
clue.
one thing. Okay, if there's one thing that I do remember about about RE7 that really bothers me is the fact that you have to make a choice between Mia and Zoe.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm just like, that's so stupid. It's like, I came here to save my wife. Yeah, she's crazy and she lied, but it's still my wife. Like, it's like, and then you feel bad. It's like, oh, you didn't save Zoe and she was actually nice to you. It's like, no, but I like her too. Like, that's so, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Does the choice matter?
Well, the thing is, I think it
that.
affects, I don't know if it affects anything, because we didn't replay that part, and we didn't save Zoe. So I have no idea if that actually does change anything. Significant, anyway. I have no idea. Because she's part of another playthrough with Joe, which is another relative that you find out about in another side story. Because Jack's still alive. The fucking final, quote-unquote, battle with Jack in the main story. That's not the end of it. He comes back in Joe's side story. There's also a Chris side story. By the way, what's up, Chris? You look nothing like you. And they try to go put him back to, like, RE1 Chris. Because he's all thin and weird and shit. And he's not big and bulky and penis-inducing like he was before.
Oh my god.
The bloodline. Leon, the bloodline.
The bloodline. But then they returned him back to that in Village. But with 7, real quick, all I'll say is I liked it, but not as much as I thought I would. Again, I really dug the vibe at the very, very beginning because it was just so intense and so with nothing really happening. And even when the jump scares came, I knew about the Mia one when she was crawling up the stairs and then she just gets in your face. I knew that was going to happen. But then after that, like her like getting up in that weird way and grabbing onto you, and then like even when she's normal and she just comes out of that one room real fast, none of us were expecting that.
I remember
Let's
that
talk
one.
about the durability of Ethan Winters and how it just like, just slap some shit on your hand. Yeah, don't worry about it.
he flex tapes his fucking limbs back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turn the first aid spray into a first aid like
liquid
juice.
Yeah.
You just pour it on your hand.
Pour it on your stump.
It doesn't even matter where you're hurt. Just pour it on your hand and you'll be fine.
I do love. There was a cutscene that we didn't get when we played, but I saw it from seeing another playthrough where if you take enough damage from Jack in the beginning, he'll like cut your foot off. He'll cut Ethan's foot off, and then he puts a strong first aid in front of him. It gets you to be like come over here. And
he goads him into like getting it,
which and like you can't get it, and then he'll because he's showing you like what the
what it does, and how it's like you have the gift or whatever, you have Evelyn's gift or whatever, and this is what it is, and it just shows that it's like okay, yeah, he can just reattach his limbs. Because the main limb you lose, if you don't get that cutscene, is that Mia fucking takes a chainsaw to your goddamn left hand.
Oh, yeah.
Mind you, that happens before Welcome to the Family, Son, so I don't know how he survived that shit. And I say that because we'll get into spoilers for Village when we get to Village, but that happens before Welcome to the Family, so how did he survive that? I don't know. I mean, I guess one could survive, but you'd bleed out profusely, which he did.
Well, so they stapled his hand.
R8.
Okay, sure.
Funny.
For RE8.
Yeah, point being, 7 isn't my favorite, but
I love 7.
It was fun.
It's a good game.
It was fun. It was fucking creepy. So because 7 apparently was too scary, as a lot of people said, Capcom said, "All right, pussies, here's Village with Moreau." The least scary motherfucker you'll ever see in a Resident Evil game. Ethan Winters. He likes cheese, and according to Vic in his headcanon, he likes beans.
In my headcanon, he likes beans.
He likes beans.
Oh, God.
I've never played RE8.
You should.
I wanted to play the third person mode, but then I thought about it and I was like, I still kind of don't want to play it. But I don't know. It's like just go. Well, I know, but watching other people's playthroughs, I just like there's parts I just don't want to do. Like I don't want to do the horrifying mutant baby. I just don't want to do it. So
yeah, that section was genuinely creepy.
But yeah, I mean, I've watched enough playthroughs. I know the story and stuff. The voice acting in RE8 is so good.
I love it. It's silly and it's
I don't
dumb.
I don't know who did the voice direction, but it was so good. And Donna and Angie deserve better. They deserve so much better. They were my favorites, and they're just like, nope. It like they don't even get a section to themselves because it's focused on the stupid mutant baby.
Well, it was very deceptive, I'll say first off, that Lady Dimitrescu got so much marketing because she's big, hot, sexy vampire lady, step on me, mommy. Yeah. So, because of that...
the first part of the game.
Yeah, so because of that, they thought she was the main villain, and she's super totally not. And once you're done with her first segment, which I wouldn't say is the shortest of the four, I would say Moreau's is the shortest. Between his and... You know what? No, I'd probably say Beneviento's is the
I think Beneviento's like the shortest
No,
one.
it is the shortest. Yeah, it is.
Because it's just going through the house until you get to the baby, and then after that, it's just finding Angie. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's finding Angie and then killing her, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's it. Okay, bye, we're out of here. Like, excuse me?
Donna was actually kind of interesting because of, like, her backstory and everything. I actually wanted to learn more about her.
I know, me too!
And again, that one was the first one we played from beginning to end. That was the first Resident Evil game we beat. Because again, like I said, from way back, some almost 2.5 hours ago, that, while we played RE1, the OG, for a little bit, and did all that, and played a little bit of what we did of 4, we went ahead and went to the most modern, recent game in the series. Because it felt kind of beginner friendly, and yeah, we played through Village, and we beat that one first. And that was because I had looked up a crap ton about it, so I already knew like all those. Yeah, I knew all the story beats and everything. And that did spawn from the baby, because knowing like I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And
what the hell is this?
Yeah, it is the only like carryover, like legitimate frightening thing that 7 would conjure up that made its way into Village. But nothing. Also, I would as well say that Village is not necessarily a horror game. It's not as spooky, it's not as creepy. It has creepy bits, it has some cheap jump scares, but no, yeah, Beneviento's bit is like the most memorable in terms of like where you go and what you're doing, because of that.
It's like the most memorable, and not even for like the villains that it's supposed to focus on.
It's
it's
exactly
so stupid.
much,
It's like that angers me to no end. Like why? Why would you do that? Why would you have this like the potential for such an interesting villain? It's just not do anything with them.
But again, the thing I did also like about the first bit of Beneviento's section is that it does feel like something that harkens back to, retroactively thinking about it now, that harkens back to 7, or they were really trying to channel PT with that. Everyone kept saying they were likening it to PT. Because again, a lot of psychological things you can't directly see, little tiny things that move or that fuck with you, like that kind of horror is very interesting to me. So that is one of the more standout moments for me.
The mannequins in the DLC scare me
they are
so
terrifying.
Much.
Yes, they were terrifying. They were absolutely terrifying. Because we kept getting hit by one that we couldn't see. There was like 4 of them that follow you.
There's like 5 or so.
Something like that, but we didn't know. We thought there was the one. We saw the other one too late. Then there were 2. Then we found out there was like another one. And we're like, oh my god, how many are there?
All I remembered about that section was that there were 2, and that's all I had known. I didn't even know it was from that DLC.
Freaked mom the fuck out. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I had known that there were 2. I didn't know there were like more than that. And I was like, oh shit.
But I do. So Village overall takes a lot from various other games. Like there are the herbs, you craft them, you don't necessarily combine them.
You have the attaché case.
Yeah,
sort of.
That's back. We have the Duke, who's a merchant, so he's back.
Yes, the big Baguli.
The big Baguli.
The big Baguli, my favorite. I love him.
A very enigmatic being.
He's a jolly fellow.
He's a jolly fellow. He's friends with the merchant. He quotes, "What are you buying?" It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like about Village. I do. My favorite, I'm sure, as well, Heisenberg, obviously.
Heisenberg is best villain.
He's best villain. He's a lot of people's best villain, which I didn't...
Supersized bitch.
Bitch. See, the bitch thing is the only thing that I actually find funny. I really don't, find anything else about his character very interesting.
I like his design. I like his voice, and I've watched things with Neil Newbon where how he talked about how he was channeling, Nick Cage and a bunch of other, different things.
I mean, yeah, I can hear that. I definitely can hear that.
A little bit of Cage, a little bit of Walken, a little bit of just different, performances and stuff.
Yeah, the voice acting is really good.
I like it. Yeah, he's real fun. Moreau's just silly, very, very pathetic, and we were at the grocery store, and Vic tells me that he went off to go and get some beans. It was on our grocery list, and he was just thinking about Moreau.
On the way there, I was just doing a dumb, silly voice. I was going oh my, oh. I was going like that. Then I thought of Moreau sounds like that, so I was thinking and then as I was getting the beans, I then thought about, what if he just liked to eat beans?
Do you like beans, Ethan?
And it just made me really laugh, and I was like, you know what? That's my headcanon now.
And then I came to find out, if you actually look into the room when you first see him, he's watching the TV, he has a little plate of cheese next to him. I'm like, oh shit, Vic, his actual canon food is cheese.
So it's good. Now he can like both.
So I thought that was really funny. But I found that out after you told me about the beans thing, so I was like, that's funny. He actually has a favorite food. It's just not beans.
Bean and cheese burrito.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you
go.
Best of
both worlds.
Oh yeah, it all came together.
It's all coming together.
But yeah, no, there's a lot to like about Village in that aspect, and I also, as much as it's
I was gonna say, I love how Heisenberg calls Chris a boulder punching asshole.
That was funny. They referenced 5. For as much as it's a little weird, I think, for them to continue to do this off of 7, it's kind of cool how they segment everything off. So you're going after Dimitrescu first, then you go after Benevento. That's not necessarily the way, because the whole village, that's why it's named that, is the big central location. There are no other places you go to, there are no sewers or anything like that, but within the village, there are these various, you've got Heisenberg's factory, you have the lake and where Moreau likes to hang out, and you have the castle. And the castle is the most striking feature because it's so fucking huge. Just that gothic horror type feel. It evokes a lot of the best of RE1 and RE4, which is kind of cool. It's fun. It's fun. It's memorable with the characters and just how silly they are, and I like it for that personally.
And I also like that they took the opportunity to tie it in with everything else by referencing Spencer and everything, and how Umbrella came to be. Yeah, which thinking about it after finishing playing everything else, it's like, oh, that's really cool that they went back and tied everything together.
Yeah, it was funny because we didn't. I knew kind of who Spencer was, but not to the degree of after playing 5 and all that. And seeing him get usurped by fucking Wesker and everything, and so and again, going back to how we haven't really played Code Veronica, because I know Wesker's in that. That's the first one that really revealed he was back and he didn't die after RE1, which in that and of itself was a retcon because he was supposed to die in the OG RE1, but when the remake came out, they used that as his canon storyline to where he actually survives the hit from the Tyrant.
Dude, I just realized
he's
the
Joker. And then he beefs himself up. Yeah, so he's so Wesker's insane. But
7 minutes.
7 minutes. No, he says, there you are.
There you are.
He becomes very British.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why he just suddenly has a nice. I swear, I asked that. Didn't I ask that to his voice actor? I asked DC Douglas about that. I think
you did.
Yeah, and then he said
it was just the direction they gave him.
No, he said there was another guy who was doing a sort of a British Wesker. And Richard Waugh or something, and they just wanted to go with that. And so they told him to do that. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. But okay.
Complete.
You should have gone with Chris's Way.
Chris's way.
No, instead we got complete global saturation.
Yeah.
Complete global saturation.
But yeah, for Village, it's fun and it's interesting. Again, too, because like I was saying about Wesker, that there's still certain bits, little gaps I need to fill in with the 2 games I haven't played yet. But it was cool how you were saying, seeing how everything tied together at the end, how it all comes back down to Spencer, and how he was kind of a student of Miranda's for a while there. Miranda herself, it's really weird, because then they also try to be like, oh, Evelyn was like something like to do with they made her specifically so she could be like the host for Ava, I think, which was Miranda's daughter back in the olden times of yore. The lore gets a little weird here, but like the Spanish flu happened and it killed off so many people, including her daughter, and then she went off into a cave to go and commit Sudoku, and then she found the fucking Megamycete, or the Mutamycete, whichever one it was.
It was Megamycete.
And yeah, it was just, the Megamycete whole thing is weird, and how that turns into the molded, and they tied 7 into 8 in that sense. They also, dropped the bombshell that Ethan actually died when Jack welcomed him to the family, son. And
welcomed him to the family, son.
and then the mold took over. So as far as Village goes, every time it gets cut up and shit, that's how it's the video game reason, because you're losing health and shit, but then also, and you need the horror, so you need, body parts are being cut off, but then also like it's because he's molded. And the one very, very subtle bit of foreshadowing is when Dimitrescu sucks his blood and goes, oh, it's going stale. So that was a small hint. But the Winters saga is very fucking weird, and I know a lot of people don't like Ethan because, one, they don't show off his face. You do see his face if you manipulate the model and stuff, but you never actually, Capcom doesn't want you to see his face, and all the official...
He's like, hello, I'm Ethan.
All the official promotional shit, they never show his face. So him being a faceless protagonist, him not having as funny or punchy of one-liners as like Leon or Chris or Jill even, doesn't really help matters. And so like the fact that 7 effectively just, no Chris, no Jill, no Claire, no Wesker, no Barry, no nobody, it's Ethan. Although Chris is there for a little bit, but I mean it's mainly Ethan and Mia. And then with Rose having this whole thing, and I liked the Shadows of Rose DLC, but with all the rumors we've heard of 9 and what that might end up being, and the fact that Shadows of Rose isn't even really going to probably happen, it's like probably one of the last things to happen in the timeline for right now anyway, because she's a teen in that one. In that side story, it's like, I don't even know. 9 reportedly is supposed to take place a few years after Village, so I have no idea. But as far as Village goes, I'm glad that they seem like they're finally gonna like. People thought it was gonna be a trilogy, that 9 would also be an Ethan-driven story, but they killed him off in 8. So we'll see where that goes, but as far as Village stands, it's one of my favorites, I'd probably say. And probably on the lower end, because RE1 remake and RE4 are still up there. RE2 is definitely up there. So Village is like probably the 4th on my top 4 or top 5.
I was going to say it too. I think Village for me is like top 4, top 5 easily. That's
it for all of the mainline stuff and the ones we couldn't really include, but we talked a little bit about them here and there. But as for the future, without getting into too many, because I don't think it's spoilery, but everything's rumors at this point. But Summer Game Fest is coming up whenever this goes up. Hopefully we not have to. I feel pressured to put this up before Summer Game Fest, but Capcom's going to be there, so I'm like, well, shit. If you're not showing off anymore like Onimusha or Okami, hopefully we get RE9. And if that's the case, with what little, I don't want to say all the rumors in case a lot of this stuff ends up happening, but the only things that I've heard that are very prominent are that RE9 is supposed to be about Jill and Leon. That's very fucking awesome. They're supposed to be on some like weird island that does kind of have some Megamycete stuff to it. but it's supposed to be really freaky, and apparently they're going to try to reinvent the wheel again. I'm not sure what that entails, but those are among some of the rumors I've heard. But what do you guys think about like where the series can go from here? Very, very like quick thoughts.
I don't know. I think like I don't know. Seeing Leon and Jill like in the same game would be pretty cool.
Because that hasn't happened. They were in the CGI movies, but they were never in a game together.
Yeah.
And it would feel like a return to form. If they just did something, in my opinion, similar to RE2 Remake or RE4 Remake, that'd be their best bet, because those two in particular, as of the recent games, whether it's mainline numbered games or remakes, these batch of games they've been making for the last, 5 years, 2 and 4 Remake are, so fucking good. And they have the right balance of creepy, silly, hokey, over-the-top stuff, and just great gameplay that, if they make 9 like that, whatever this reinventing the wheel shit means, just do that, because that with Jill and Leon, they're like the most, you can't take them seriously, wisecracking characters in the franchise.
Yeah.
They're gonna have hopefully they have great chemistry together. If that is the one part that'll end up true, I really want to see their banter. It's got to be great, and the stories they can swap. The fact that Jill was there for the very, very beginning, and then Leon came, after the outbreak spread to everything else. Their experiences in Raccoon City, it was so funny for how much the series evolved. I thought it was interesting that they did keep referencing the mansion or the Raccoon City incidents. That they never forgot, Capcom and the characters that they wrote never forgot that is how everything started. As fucking weird as 6, for example, got, they still reference that Raccoon City was some odd 12, 16 years ago. And that's crazy to think, because some of that actually has to do with the real world releases of the games and the gaps between each and what have you. They took that into consideration for the plotline, the overarching plotline of the series. And at this point, Leon and Jill, if they're the ones that are going to be the protagonists, are going to be in their 40s at this point?
Yeah.
They're going to be older, so it'll be very interesting for sure. And as long as they just keep that creepy vibe, maybe bring a little bit of that 7 feel back, but do it not first person, but over the shoulder again, 2 or 4 or something, that would be really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with those points. I don't really have much to say after that. I'm just curious to see what it's just going to be like from here on out.
I'm curious to see what they do, especially because the Winter story is done. And another rumor said that Rose will be referenced, but at this point, if it's true that the 9th game will take place only a few years after Village, she's not going to be very much older.
No, not really.
To me, it just matters on what the gameplay is like and which characters are going to be in it, because as far as story goes, in terms of the actual whole plot of Resident Evil, I don't care. So I don't I don't really pay attention to that unless it's standalone like RE4. I haven't really been paying attention, so I don't know what's going on.
Erin must have tuned out from this entire podcast while she's in it. But anyway, no, but
oh, you think I was actually listening to you talk about the story? No.
The thing that I'm curious about as well, beyond the story and how they handle the characters, is the gameplay, and not necessarily how you were saying, because I'm sure you mean how the mechanics will be in terms of if they bring back some melee stuff, or how the shooting or the guns or and stuff like that. What made RE4 fun to play and everything. But I'm also thinking of those aforementioned staples. Will they bring back typewriters? I forgot to mention 7 changed it to little video cassette tape things, a little recorder you had to go up to. But 8 promptly brought back the typewriter. So hopefully they bring back the typewriter. Hopefully they bring back herbs to the way they used to work. I didn't mind the old school mechanics of, the old Resident Evil in the remakes for 2 and 3, having the herbs, it's blue and fucking green and red and what have you, and I don't mind them bringing that back because those were fun in 2 Remake and all that. So if they bring back a lot, because I haven't been mentioning throughout the podcast that especially in the middle era, they changed a bunch of shit. You can almost see this as like a Star Wars theme or like something. Like there's like 3 different trilogies happening. You've got the original Raccoon City trilogy. You have the middle trilogy where they went action, and then this new trilogy where it's the Ethan Winters bit, and then whatever they do for 9, where it's more horror themed again. It's very
Yeah.
It's interesting to see.
It's interesting doing this back to back binge of the entire mainline series. It's been very interesting to see how everything's flowed, and to pick out the good, the bad, and what we like, what we didn't like, things like that. I'm just surprised we got as invested as we did. I got as invested as I did, because I didn't think I would. It's a horror series, still at its core, but it's one that I can say I'm a big fan of now at this point. So I will definitely pop off if we do see RE9 at some point soon. I will pop off.
Oh yeah, we'll both freak out.
We'll see how many of those rumors are true. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention real quick. I think that's it. I mean, really, like, it kind of reminds me of something like Crash, even, where, like, people, or most other franchises, there's a lot of different franchises, not just Crash or Spyro, that I could, like, relate this to, where the first couple games, PlayStation Classics or whatever console they appeared on, they're classics to that console, and people love those games, and they were the first start of what made them great. And then as they went on, the middle era got a little weird, and Crash can be like that, other games can be like that.
Every game can be like that ever if they go on for long enough.
And then it's like now that they've learned from that middle era, now it seems like they're trying to bring it back to the roots and bring it back to this, and so. Yeah, we can only
ironically, Ratchet and Clank is one of those things where it was like its PS3 era was really good. It didn't even have a rocky PS3 era. It had a fucking great PS3 era. Not the later parts. The beginning parts were good. The later parts were very weird. But then it just got back. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we're done. Resident Evil.
Oh, good. 3 hours later. Yay.
Yeah.
Let's go. I hope you guys had fun. We've got to finish up Revelations 2 now.
I finished OG4.
OG4? We will.
Yes, please. Please.
And with that all said, too, this being the last year of VidGames, we do have a little more Resident Evil planned as well. Maybe with Wes. We'll see. We came up with a lot of different games we want to do before the end of the year, so we'll see how many we can possibly do. And we'll go from there. Tune in next time. And we'll probably be dead because it's so hot.
We're going to go make some Jill sandwiches.
Let's go make some Jill sandwiches. Jill this way. Chris this way.
Jill this way.
Master of Unlocking.
Master of Unlocking. Oh, 7 minutes.
7 minutes.